This is Boston's home for sports.
He scores! What a blast by Boston! Waiting, Holiday screams, good night! Oh!
WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
We'll be getting the Canada-U.S. rematch we all wanted at the Four Nations face-off. Canada win over Finland yesterday 5-3 to advance to Thursday's championship game. U.S. lost a meaningless game to Sweden last night 2-1. Bruins' Charlie McAvoy sat out that game with what Ty Anderson tells us is an upper body injury. The Boston Globe goes a step further. Says McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital on Monday. His status for Thursday and beyond, unknown. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers yesterday telling reporters he has no interest in changing positions to make room for the team's newest signing, Gold Glove third baseman Alex Bregman. Asked if he would be willing to DH, Devers said no. Sox president Sam Kennedy told reporters the Bregman signing puts the team over the competitive balance tax threshold and said ownership is willing to pay the tax to make the playoffs this season. Angel star Mike Trout says he's going to move from center field to right field this year in order to help him stay healthy. Trout missed much of last season because of 2 knee surgeries. And the window for NFL teams to use their franchise tag opens at 4 o'clock today. Patriots not expected to use theirs. Headlines brought to you by Valvoline. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in around 30 minutes.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
Brett Toucher on Instagram. Follow and see dog humping videos.
And Hardy.
I'm going to withhold sex!
On 98.5.
Hello!
Hey there.
Yo.
Can we use this for the radio?
What? Let me hear you say, oh. Na, 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 na.
Crush me, mommy!
Just not enough booty to go around? Say my name. I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the post. I'll chase you around a little bit. Wow! Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Instagram.
I want to dip it in. What?
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fun. Having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
You can use it as a comp day. And so, Hardy's in Puerto Rico, so he used it as just it doesn't count as a vacation day, so because he went to Puerto Rico on Sunday morning. But John decided to use the day. And what'd you do, John?
Oh, I slept all the way until 8 in the morning. It was glorious. 8 in the morning, baby. Something that I never do or can't do anymore. It was fantastic. Woke up refreshed like a new man.
Yeah. And then you enjoyed the day?
Unfortunately, the rest of my day was spent carting children around. It was, Dad, I got to go to this guy's house. Dad, I got to go to that guy's house. Can you take me to the movie theater? The whole thing.
Why did you? Why would you not just work yesterday?
I just thought I needed an extra day. I wanted to get a little extra sleep. Sleep, as we all know, is golden when you work this job. That was my theory going into it. And now, having lived through the day that I took off, I should have been here yesterday.
Yes, it made no sense. It could not be. This winter is just terrible. And there couldn't have been a worse time to take off if you weren't going out of town.
I know. And, I spent all day Sunday moving that pavement like snow around. It was just terrible.
Well,
I would have liked to have gotten away from the house.
Yeah.
Sunday was just a lost cause because of the snow, sleet, freezing rain, and slush that I was hacking away at in my driveway. So, yeah, it was not a lot of fun.
No. And I don't even have the proper tools to get the ice off I have a very controversial driveway situation, John.
You got the wall. You got the wall at the end of the driveway. That's a problem.
Well,
right?
no. That was at the old house. This is who is responsible for part of the driveway.
Oh, that's right, because there are 2 people that live that use that driveway. Interesting.
Right.
So how did you solve this problem?
There has been no solution. I have not raised it. I've only raised it on the radio.
The way it's been solved is apparently Fred is handling the driveway.
Yeah, to a degree.
Until and unless he confronts the neighbors.
The driveway is big enough that the part that I'm apparently being held responsible for, where I had a 20-pound bag of ice melt and I could only do like 3/4 of it. So the top, like by the road on the driveway, is just ice. Like it's like bulgy ice, because I mean I couldn't, like when I shoveled it, but I shoveled the snow off and there was still, and then everything melted and turned to ice, and I can't do anything about the ice.
Wait, are the other people out of town, or did they just not care?
No. If they were out of town, then it would be better. Have you been to my new place?
I have not yet. No.
Okay, all right. So I have the back unit, and there's a front unit. They're both like the size of houses, basically.
Okay.
And the front unit, we both have a 1-car garage. Mine's on the side in the back, and theirs is right in front of their place. They have 2 cars that they park in front of that garage. Now, the driveway that's next to their garage that I pull into is past their cars, past their place, into the back to my place.
Yeah.
So I obviously, would shovel around my door and then around my car, but really their place starts like probably, and then the end of the driveway if I had to do it. So like their house starts probably 10 feet into the drive from the grass to their driveway from the grass to their house is probably 10 feet.
Got it.
Then after that, there's probably 25 feet of driveway, 30 feet of driveway. So say you split that in half, that's 15 feet of my driveway, but they stop. They just do where their cars are and stop. But the point is that if someone was to slip and fall and sue us, they're responsible too. Like, we're under the same homeowners insurance. Like, we're under the same thing. And there's no way they can get a lawyer that goes, that's not your property because your car doesn't drive on it. I mean, that's certainly their property. So, like, even in due diligence, because I knew this was all going to suck. I knew that, and I thought we were going to get snow on Thursday too, but I guess that's not happening. So I had read that it was going to snow and then rain and then freeze over. But you can't buy I can't buy ice melt. I went to like 5 places to buy ice melt.
Nowhere to be seen.
I had the same problem in my neighborhood. Yep.
So
Went to 3 different gas stations.
So I got it from Amazon, and so because usually like I got a 20-pound bag, and I was like, okay, that's great. How much am I going to need? You get a 20-pound bag. That's all you need. It was so much ice that I went through the 20-pound bag.
Yeah.
With a lot of driveway still to go. Like probably like 8 to 10 feet of driveway still to go. But you have to remember, I've done 30 feet of driveway. So, I mean, I just didn't have enough. So, and then you would think that they would see, I like them. And I am being a little passive aggressive because I could just talk to them about it, but I don't feel like it. It's easier just to do this. And I do like, they're really nice people.
How old are these people?
They're a young family.
Okay.
And so, but the thing is that like and they do the front walkway, so I guess that counts as something. So, but it's just like I can't handle like all that stuff necessarily. So I ordered more ice melt, but it doesn't get here until today or tomorrow, and so and I can't find ice melt anywhere. So there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I guess I could try to go borrow a metal shovel from someone and sit all day, trying to get 15 feet of ice off the driveway. But I'm not doing that.
No.
So you gotta just hope no one eats it. And then because if they do, then it's on both of us. There's no way that that's entirely my responsibility. It's not even by where my physical property is. It's like it's well past that. Now I have to drive. It's not where I park. It's just I drive over it. So, I mean, I can't imagine that's entirely my responsibility.
No, doesn't sound like your responsibility at all. But if you don't have a shovel, you're screwed.
I have a shovel.
Oh, you do?
I don't have a metal shovel, like a metal shovel. I have a snow shovel.
Okay.
I shoveled the snow.
Okay.
But it iced over. Like the stuff that there's not a lot of places to put the snow, right? So
Right.
it's all driveway, especially since they just do that area where their cars are. I can't dump snow on their area.
Right.
And there's no room between, there's like 3 feet of space between my driveway and the neighbor's driveway, which is, we're elevated.
Right.
So like if I would be literally just chucking snow on their driveway, so that all builds up, which is fine. But then when it rained and that stuff melts, it melts right back onto the driveway.
Yeah.
And there's really not a whole lot I can do about it.
What happens if you get, and we always, odds are we're going to get one big, huge mammoth storm before this is all over in the middle of next month or at the end of March. So what happens then?
Well, I asked them even because I figured what was going on is that they had a plow guy because I think they're pretty wealthy. They have a plow guy. I thought they had a plow guy.
Okay.
And that the plow guy was just doing what plow guys do, and he was just doing what he had to do and then leaving. But then I asked him if they have a plow guy because I said I'll use the plow guy too if it snows a lot.
Yeah.
And they said they don't have a plow guy, that they do the shoveling. And so
On a big storm,
if there's a big storm, I mean,
you need a plow guy. You get a big storm.
I would have to get a plow guy.
Yeah.
But
The rule is for me, 6 inches or more, he takes care of. Less than 6, I do it.
see, yeah, but you have your own, like, it's different.
I also have 2 boys that I force to come out with me, which helps.
Well, my son would do it if he was ever healthy. That's the thing.
Oh.
Yeah, if my son was ever...
I have 2 15-year-old boys that are healthy. They come out there.
Yeah, if my son was ever not complaining of being ill, I would have a much more of a workforce at my disposal. But he would help. But again, if there's, I mean, I can't today. I couldn't wear this jacket yesterday because I was out for an hour in the rain. I spent an hour.
Yeah.
I was out an hour in the rain, and then my jacket was completely soaked through.
Same.
So, I mean, I tried. I legitimately tried, but there's only so much ice melt on the planet for me to get.
At the end, so you're not responsible for the end of the driveway.
No,
That's what I'm saying. That's the hardest part, or at least was.
No,
for
I
me.
am responsible
Oh,
for. Okay, so they're on the left. So say that there's, like 8 feet of driveway, an 8x8 section of driveway.
Yeah.
They shovel that and then leave all the
my
rest.
fault. I didn't visualize it right. I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the end of their driveway is shoveled, but I don't get I'm on a straight road and not by a curve, so I don't get a bunch of stacked.
I get it. Oh, it's awful.
Well, at my old place, like I'm supposed to be feeding I am not supposed to. I am feeding my ex-wife's cat. We share that responsibility when one of us is out of town. It's actually a good arrangement. But I can't I would like to spend time. It's my cat kind of, so I would like to spend time with the cat, much to Zolak's chagrin. But I can't park because, Mila's got a car and she's got a car. And so, like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
That house is, which I have been to, that house's driveway, very small.
And
So,
also
yeah.
when they plow, they come around that corner and they shove all the snow right in front of that house.
Yeah.
So that house is impossible to get out of. But then it's funny because my ex-wife will go get Milo to shovel my driveway. And I don't say anything. I just think, no. Like, no. Like, I'm not, you get him to do it.
No, seriously. There's not
I'm feeding your
chance.
cat. Like, I'm not.
I got enough problems clearing my own deck. Forget it. No, there's not a chance.
Exactly.
I'm going over there.
I'm not going to go make him do your driveway. You make him do your driveway.
I spent, even with the help of my boys, I spent an hour outside on Thursday moving that stuff around. And that doesn't even count the back deck, which I had one boy do. But if someone had called me after I had finished all of that and said, we need you to come do this whole other thing, I would have told them to go screw. There's not a chance I would have left.
And I'm like, and I said, well, what do you need the driveway, first of all? And then she's like, well, I'll get fined by the city if I don't shovel the sidewalk. And I'm like, who's ever been fined by the city for not shoveling the sidewalk? I walked the dog yesterday and with that dumb dog pulling me, I almost ate it 18 times because I was walking on a sheet of ice because I don't walk in the road.
Do you don't have a sidewalk? There's no sidewalk plow in Newton?
No,
We have one. in
Not a
Natick.
residential one.
I have, and this is good. Natick does a great job. They clear the sidewalks. Of course, I live near the high school, so they want to clear the sidewalks. But the problem is the sidewalk goes right along my front yard through my driveway and then out to the other side. I've spent all that time clearing my driveway. The sidewalk plow comes along, throws all that snow back on the end of my driveway, and I got to spend another 20 minutes clearing that off.
Well, I don't pay much in property tax, so you understand that.
That's true. You win there.
You understand that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They could never afford to have a sidewalk plow because there's no property tax in Newton.
Sure.
It's not like my condo is almost double the amount of my parents' 6,500 square foot home on a lake in Tennessee. Do you want to talk about a disappointment? Because I'm like, these people are not living forever. I'm like, this is all mine. I'm an only child. And they have this beautiful house. They built themselves, or they didn't. I mean, they hired a guy to build it. They designed themselves on this lake. It's actually this cove that leads into a huge lake.
You're near a golf course.
You're basically on a golf course.
Yeah.
And you're on a golf course in a lake, basically. Like in this beautiful community, and I went, oh my! When Zillow came out, I went, oh my! I wonder how much Freddie's getting in this, because they don't want to. They always complain about keeping the house. Can we sell the house? You can do whatever you want. Don't keep anything on the account of me, and downsize to like a condo or something because they're old, and they say that it's very hard to take care of that house considering they don't have to do anything. but sure, it's very hard for them to take care of the house because I guess picking up the phone's difficult. But I looked at how much that house was, and that house is worth a little more than half of my condo. That's how much it costs to live in Massachusetts. The East Tennessee. So if I sold my place, if I retired today, even with the divorce, and sold my place, conceivably, and they sold their place, I could buy like a giant mansion in East Tennessee.
Gated community.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I could buy any house in that neighborhood.
Man.
And I would be, and if I bought it cash, I might have enough in just interest or if the market performed well to live. But if I lived anywhere normal, that is not the case.
That's the problem. You grow up here, you don't know any better. You think, oh, this is the way everything is. This is how expensive everything is. And then you get a chance to travel and look around and go, no.
And there's no state tax.
No.
So my dad's he has his faults, but he is an intelligent man when it comes to finances, and he that's part of the reason. I mean, there's no state tax in the property, and they probably built that house. It's appreciated in value a lot, but they probably built that house and got that. My dad bought that property 30 years ago. He retired like 20 years ago. He bought it 10 years before he retired. They didn't build on it until they probably bought that property for $100,000 and then built the house for probably, $250,000 and now, $400,000. So it's probably double, tripled in value. But who knows? Who knows? It's certainly not living in a condo in Newton where you have to worry about shoveling your driveway. Jeez. I don't even know how I would get a plow. What the plow guy would do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tricky space.
Yeah, I don't even know how you would. Because then I'd be plowing them in.
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
Not a lot of room for the snow to go.
I don't want to be like a dick.
But at the same time, if we get one of those storms where it's 12 to 18 inches, you got to take care of it somehow.
Well, it's not supposed to get really cold again.
Okay.
Today is supposed to be like the last day that it's supposed to be really cold. That's what I read.
In about 10 days, February is going to be over, and technically we're supposed to be out of the bullseye for this kind of thing. But in March, there's always one. There's always one big whopper storm that we have to worry about here.
There has been. There's not usually. There has been.
I hope you're right.
I remember the first year I moved here, and we had a party on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in 2007.
There was an April Fool's
I
Day
remember that.
blizzard around here.
But it was
not
funny
that
because
long
I
ago.
thought, oh, it's St. Patrick's Day, like because I was in Atlanta, like it's going to be like at least like 45
Be out on
degrees.
the lawn maybe part of the day? No.
No. Well, my son's birthday is May 23rd, and we've had outdoor parties where you had to wear a winter jacket.
Oh, jeez.
So, and that's the case. I'll never forget that. We had a fire truck, come to the house one time when he was real little.
Yeah.
And it was like, May 20th or whatever. It was like the weekend of his birthday, and when you had to wear a winter jacket. This is now. Listen, God bless the environment for falling apart because now things are quite a bit milder than they were even that long ago. But there we go. All right, look, there's a lot going on. Actually, unsarcastically, there's drama with the Red Sox. There is bad news for the Bruins as international play goes on, and we will have all of it for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened, so change your lettuce and change your life. With Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. All right, Jonathan, what happened last evening?
Well, let's start with the Four Nations face-off at TD Garden. Team USA played a meaningless game against Sweden last night. Starting goaltender Connor Hellebuyck sat out along with Matthew Tkachuk, Charlie McAvoy, and at the last minute, Austin Matthews. He was apparently battling an illness, and we'll get to these guys and the seriousness of their problems in a moment. First, let's do a quick recap of the game. Without Matthews, the U.S. dressed a forward short, 11 forwards, 7 defensemen, and that meant Chris Kreider got his first minutes of the tournament.
Here comes Zach Werenski. Saved by Erson, rebound, score! Kreider, 35 seconds in.
That was 35 seconds in, as you heard Kenny Albert say, and the U.S. off to a quick 1-0 lead. Unfortunately, it did not stay that way.
In the final minute of this first period, here's Nylander. Score! Jesper Bratt, 2-1 Sweden.
So Sweden got goals from Gustav Nyquist and that one from Jesper Bratt. Goaltender Sam Ersson made it stand up in 32 saves last night in a 2-1 win for Sweden. Now, the biggest story after the game were the U.S. injuries. The U.S. had already clinched a spot in the Four Nations final. At the start, they were without Matthew Tkachuk, Charlie McAvoy, and Austin Matthews. They lost Brady Tkachuk early. He crashed into the net, and then they lost him for good after he tried to give it a go after that. Head coach Mike Sullivan downplayed everything afterwards.
Austin and Charlie, any updates on them?
Nothing that I can give you right now. Charlie obviously is right now he's out with an upper body injury. The same. Austin was more banged up, or nicked up, I should say. We'll probably have more information tomorrow with those guys.
All right, it does seem much worse than that. McAvoy, according to our own Ty Anderson, before the game had the upper body injury he's dealing with. He may not play again in this tournament. And as you heard during the update, the Boston Globe reported after the game he was admitted to Mass General last night, Fred.
Yes, I've heard, and I don't know the validity of this, but I've heard from a couple people it is a shoulder that is going to require surgery. Now, again, I'm no reporter. I mean, but it is a shoulder, not like some, disease. So I feel comfortable in just saying that people have told me it's a shoulder. And if he gets that operated on, he'll be out for an extended. I'm just hypothesizing this last part, that if it's a shoulder and he gets surgery, that means he's going to be out for a significant amount of time. And if on the Bruins, like, why even play him again this year? Just, I'd sit him, and then that means that now you're wheeling and dealing at the deadline. Your mind's made up at this point.
All right. Obviously no confirmation from Team USA of the team. Obviously, he's not going to play Thursday in the final. The actual Bruins schedule, as Ryan can tell us, starts Saturday. They got 3 straight home games starting Saturday, but there's that injury. Matthew Tkachuk was on the TV broadcast last night. He was non-committal about Thursday. So we'll see. But, Ryan, either way, it looks like Team USA is going to be down at least a couple of good players.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they are, John. Like, ultimately, listen, I mean, this tournament is great. It is what it is. That's not why these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. It's about they're trying to win a Stanley Cup. And so, if Austin Matthews can't play, or if Matthew Tkachuk can't play, or Brady Tkachuk can't play, oh well.
But
as great as this,
us
of course.
Yeah.
Well, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, listen, these teams are incredibly deep as far as talent goes. So yeah, you'd like to have everybody healthy and have everybody playing in that game on Thursday night. Ultimately, it's about the emotion, and if one or two of those guys isn't in the lineup, it's not an absolute killer. You've got other guys on this team that are perfectly capable, but they have to make decisions based on their employers and not based on their country at this point.
And it's interesting because obviously this is a contact sport, the players for sure care more about this than they do about any regular season game, certainly. And it is because this has been such a success, and the NBA All-Star Game was such a failure that now there's talk of, do you ever go back to the All-Star Game again? And already, they're switching every 2 years between the Olympics and a World Cup. You can't have international play every year. If guys are, this is a contact sport where these guys are going all out. They're going 100%. As Ryan just said, your profession is to play in the National Hockey League. This is all cute and good for, a week in February, but your job is to have 41 home games that people buy tickets to and then hopefully a playoff run. Everything else is a nice diversion. But, if McAvoy's out for the year, if Austin, I guess Austin Matthews might be sick or whatever, but if Brady Tkachuk is out for the year or misses significant amount of time.
That's the difference between Ottawa making the playoffs.
I was just going to say, they're hanging right there.
Yeah,
they're right on the edge.
Well, it could be the difference between the Bruins making the playoffs or not.
Right.
And so if I'm an owner, I'm still paying the guy. I got to pay a guy that got hurt during an exhibition. So, the All-Star Game in hockey or at any game except for baseball is worthless. But maybe you got to eat it, 2 out of every 4 years because if I'm an owner, I don't want I don't want to lose my best player for the season because he was in a very intense exhibition season.
So now we have McAvoy, and it maybe hopefully what you said is not true, and he doesn't have the bad shoulder. Hopefully you're wrong. But
hopefully the people who told me are wrong.
Okay, hopefully your sources are incorrect.
My big sources.
But Ryan, do you think Hampus Lindholm will be ready to go on Saturday?
I don't know, but the smart money is that, he was supposed to be potentially ready after the break.
God forbid the two of them should actually...
told us a couple of weeks ago that's kind of where they were targeting.
Well, he was practicing contact, right?
Yes.
He was, so you would figure he'd be back.
God forbid the two of them should actually play together in the same game at one time. McAvoy and Lindholm, the two of them who you paid all that money to. But, if you lose McAvoy, at least it looks like you will get Lindholm back. Now, granted, he hasn't played in a game in how long?
Mid-November.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, I would think, for him to ramp up to, full contact, full go. But at the same time, you take what you can get.
Well, go over it. If it's an upper body injury that made McAvoy go to Mass General the day after the game, if it was a concussion, it would be the day of the game. You can just kind of go through it. So if it's an upper body, what is it? Why wouldn't it be his shoulder?
There was a collision in the third period of the game the other night where he looked like he was favoring his shoulder. He came up favoring his shoulder.
Right. So I don't think it's, out of the realm of possibility if he was having a surgery to his upper body and he hit his shoulder during the game that it's his shoulder. And maybe that's the only reason that anyone told me it was his shoulder.
Yeah.
Is because they just put 2 and 2 together.
We'll see. But for the Four Nations, the U.S. needs an opponent for Thursday night. They were already into the final, so yesterday we needed to find out who their opponent would be, and we seemed to discover that quickly in Game 1 at TD Garden yesterday afternoon.
Here comes McKinnon moving in. Score! 2-0 Canada. Nathan McKinnon beats Lankinen.
Nathan McKinnon scored there to give Team Canada a 2-0 lead over Finland in the first period, and then McKinnon scored again in the second period to hand the Canadians a 4-0 lead. It was 4-0 with 7 minutes to go in the game, and then things went sideways.
Rantanen steps up. Out in front from Barkov. Shot, score! Granlund again! It's a one-goal game!
What a comeback for Finland. They came all the way back to make it 4-3. Esa Lindell made it 3-1, and then Granlund added back-to-back goals 23 seconds apart. All of a sudden, with 1:17 to go, it's a 4-3 game. Sidney Crosby, however, ended things after that with an empty net goal. Canada 5, Finland 3, and that sets up the rematch we had all hoped for. The U.S. against the Canadians at TD Garden on Thursday night. The U.S. won 3-1 on Saturday, and Connor Hellebuck should be back in net for the U.S. on Thursday night. And a question for you, Ryan, I read this, I'm not brilliant, I read this in The Athletic last night. It hypothesized that Connor Hellebuck could be the best U.S.-born goaltender ever. Do you think that's the case?
Too early to name him that. You got to have the longevity. Beersy and I actually had that discussion not that long ago about Jonathan Quick, who's with the Rangers now, longtime LA Kings goalie.
Well, two cups for him, right?
Yeah. Well, he's part of three, but he played in two,
right,
and he, I think he just passed 400 wins for his career. That's why I think the discussion came up, and we talked a little bit about Hellebuck. We talked about Ryan Miller, guys like that. He's definitely entering that discussion at this point.
He's last year's Vezina Trophy. Excuse me. He's probably going to win it this year too. Not too many goaltenders have won it back-to-back, let alone won 3 of them. So Hellebuck's an elite company if he follows through and finishes the season like everyone expects him to. Three Vezinas is the separator. You'd like to see him win a Stanley Cup. That will really put him at the elite list. But as far as U.S. goaltenders go, I mean, the list is not terribly long.
Well,
right?
it's also unfair because he's under the microscope of Winnipeg.
Right.
I mean, he's on national television every day. I mean, we all, it's the city that never wakes up.
That is quite the advantage because you have nothing to focus on other than your game when you're playing in Winnipeg.
That's a good point. And they love that team up there, right? I mean,
they can't sell out games.
Oh, is that right?
The economy is so terrible up there that the smallest arena in the league has empty seats on a regular basis.
Yeah, they can't sell it out. Yeah, it seems on the surface to be a terrible decision to expand there.
Players don't want to be there. The economy really can't support the team. It's not a great spot, but
okay.
Yeah, because the Athletic did something about they did a player poll and they asked the players the city they'd least like to play in, and it used to be before Winnipeg, Buffalo every single time. It's because it's never Edmonton. And it's like those or Calgary, like it's those sneaky like cities you never think of in Canada. It's never them. And I remember Suter when he was the defenseman for or Sutton, whatever his name was, Andy Sutton, when he was the defenseman for the Thrashers, and I said, where would you least like to play? And he said Buffalo. Now it's almost unanimously Winnipeg.
It was a full half of the league. Like
was
of
Winnipeg,
the players that they surveyed. So,
and then you figure some of them play there,
right?
So like they're not going to say it, like right. So yeah, it's to my have you been to Winnipeg?
Yes.
It's like it's like Dayton, Ohio, or something,
yeah,
right?
It's a small city. There's not a lot going on there. I mean, we stayed right downtown, a few blocks from the arena, and it was nothing. There's nothing there.
Sounds like the NBA version of Oklahoma City. Sounds exactly the
I
same.
think I would put Oklahoma City up against Winnipeg any day.
Yeah, I mean,
have you been to Oklahoma City?
I have not.
All
but
right,
then. At least there's not like 3 feet of snow on the ground in Oklahoma City.
No, you win there. I'm just saying, based on what you're describing, it sounds very similar.
I'll tell you this, is that Ice Road Truckers started in Winnipeg. That's where the show starts, is that all those trucks leave from Winnipeg, and then the ice roads begin from there. Because not only is it a rinky-dink town, it's also maybe in the worst geographic weather area. One of those guys from Kids in a Hall we interviewed, and he lives in Winnipeg, and they essentially live underground. Like everything is underground.
Well, that's
there.
what a lot of the Canadian cities have, these tunnel systems that you can never have to go outside. So like when we went to Edmonton, we were there for like 2 days. From the time we got off the bus at the hotel to the time we got on the bus to go to the airport 2 days later, I never went outside, which was great.
What was the average temperature? 5 below, 10 below?
Oh, that's at least.
It gets to be like 40 below. I mean, I've seen weather reports that today, because of this Arctic thing that's going through, is that there's places that are like 40, 30 below. Go ahead.
I think I've told you a story. A friend of mine who traveled to Edmonton on business a long time ago told me that people who live there, and Ryan, maybe you can back this up, have 2 sets of keys when they go inside for long periods of time. If you ever have to park outside, one, to keep the car running, the second, to lock the car while it's running, because if you don't keep the car running while you're inside, you'll never start it again.
It is right now. It is 20 below in Winnipeg right now.
Jesus God.
Yeah. My friend
High of 4 below today.
My friend went to school at this school called Alma. It's right in the middle of the thumb of Michigan. And they would get days off for cold. This is before keyless doors to your cars. And because part of the reason, because you couldn't open your car because the lock would have shrunk because of it being cold. So you literally couldn't get your key in the car to unlock it. That's how old I am. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. There is a controversy when it comes to the Red Sox. We'll have that for you. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Canada and the U.S. will rematch for the Four Nations Face-Off Championship on Thursday. U.S. losing a meaningless game to Sweden last night 2-1 after Canada beat Finland 5-3 to advance to the championship. U.S. was without Charlie McAvoy yesterday. He sat out that game with what we now know is an upper body injury. The Boston Globe reporting overnight he was admitted to Mass General Hospital on Monday. Status going forward unknown. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers yesterday telling reporters he is not interested in changing positions, won't DH. What does that mean for his future? We don't know. Sox president Sam Kennedy telling reporters the Alex Bregman signing put the team over the competitive balance tax threshold and said that's just okay. They are willing to make the payments this year if it means making the playoffs. Window for NFL teams to use their franchise tag will open at 4 o'clock this afternoon. After rumors of a trade to Pittsburgh yesterday, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence said he has no desire to leave Jacksonville, and he has a no-trade clause in his contract. Headlines are brought to you by Rapid Flow Sewer and Drain Cleaning. This season, the last thing you want at your bar or restaurant is a sewer backup on game day. So call 800-286-FLOW or visit rapidflowinc.com, where one call solves it all. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
such an fantastic explosion.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
Rafael Devers was
Jonathan, it is there is violence in the streets. The Red Sox have a very big problem. on their
Well,
hands.
after a few years of boredom for all of us, things finally got interesting yesterday around this team. Newly signed infielder Alex Bregman took grounders in Fort Myers yesterday, and he went through drills at his normal position, third base, and that was a surprise because it was thought that he would transition to second on his new team. Rafael Devers, the incumbent third baseman and now the second highest paid player on the team, is coming back from shoulder problems last year. He did meet the media yesterday, and he was asked through a translator about playing third base with the reigning American League Gold Glover at that position now on his team.
Yeah, I mean, third base is my position. It's what I've played. I don't know what their plans are. Like, I know we had a conversation. I made it clear kind of what my desires were. And yeah, whatever happens from here, I don't know.
Alex Cora and Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow went to Devers on Friday. That's what Matt McCarthy was talking about, and asked him if he'd be willing to change positions. And he told them under no uncertain terms, not a chance. I'm a third baseman. That's it.
And I'm an astronaut.
This is delicious.
Devers also told the media yesterday that when he signed his 10-year, $313 million contract, he was promised he was going to be the team's third baseman.
Yeah, it was definitely a surprise. I'm someone that I believe in people's word, and I take it to heart. Yeah, it was very, very surprising that they would suggest that.
Okay, so that's another point of view. Alex Cora was asked about this afterwards.
I love this clip.
He pointed out quickly that when Devers signed the deal, it was under previous management.
It's strange between different people here, right? There's a different leader here. So, Haim is in St. Louis right now.
Oh, boy. Here we go. So now where does that leave everybody? Would this news mean that Devers would actually be open to asking for a trade because in his mind, the Red Sox have gone back on their word to him?
Since the beginning, I've known that this is a business. I know that each side is going to do what is best for them, what is most comfortable for them. I don't think that was the right way to do business, but I've always known that this is a business.
Okay, so we finally have something to talk about coming out of Sox camp. Exhibition season starts at the end of the week, but this is the story. The Red Sox are a better team defensively with Bregman at third and Devers as the DH and maybe Christian Campbell at second base. And that's the other part of this. The Red Sox clearly want to make room for this kid to come in and play second because not only do they want to see him develop, he's a right-handed bat. So you add Bregman, who is a right-handed bat, to the top of the order, Campbell, who's a right-handed bat, to the bottom of the order, and if everything works out, the team is much more balanced and far better defensively. So I think at some level, Devers has to know this if he's been paying attention at all. I mean, he has not been a good fielding third baseman since he's been here.
Right, the team's better with him at DH. The thing is that he's coming in thinking I'm the leader of this team. Apparently he's fat too, which doesn't help his argument.
Yeah, Dan Shaughnessy was quick to ask him that. How much do you weigh? And Devers said 240.
Yeah, and then what did Dan say? And I was on the Apollo 13 mission or something like that.
If he's 240, I'm an astronaut.
Yeah, well, which is the line I just stole. And I mean, yeah. If Chaim Bloom promised him he was going to play third base the whole time, which I gotta believe he didn't. That just seems like for 10 years you're going to be our third baseman. That seems like
no matter what.
Yeah,
you swell to Pablo Sandoval type weight. Just keep playing over there. You're not very good, but we can. That's fine.
That seems like a huge malpractice. If you're the GM of a team and you promise the guy, and what does that even mean? I mean, that doesn't sound realistic, but. The team has the right to switch him to DH, and he has the right to ask for a trade. If he can find a team that will let him play third base, and I mean, he has the opportunity to do that.
It's amazingly selfish if he acts out this way. Amazingly selfish. You can make all the money you want. He's going to get paid either way. The object is to win. And this move, putting the reigning American League Gold Glover at third base at that position, gives the Red Sox a chance to win.
It is true, and it is selfish. But if you're him and you're thinking, look, I was the highest paid player on this team, he didn't like this trade, I guess, in the first place because he saw the tea leaves, and he thinks like you came in and usurped me, and it's a blow to the ego. It's certainly a blow to the ego. I'm assuming that, he has a right to ask for a trade. I mean, when that's a distressed asset, it's not the best time to be moving Rafael Devers, but
a $313 million guy who you really can't put in the field if you're a good team.
Right. So, I mean,
that's not someone I'm trading for.
Well, that's not a bad deal now for a big bat. And so
10 years and $313 million for a guy who's overweight and can't field his position.
Yes, but I mean, look at how much money Bregman got. I mean, Devers is a better player than Bregman. Mm-hmm. So you're getting kind of a deal. I mean, you're getting I think if Devers was a free agent last season, he'd be making far more than he is now. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. He's making whatever.
You'd be able to find a lot of trade partners. It's just you wouldn't get as much as you could if he wasn't a distressed asset.
That goes to my point. Devers, look, there have been times where people have left the Red Sox. And I was watching a video by Lou Merloni last night, and Lou made a good point. When Nomar Garciaparra got brought up, John Valentin left camp because Valentin was a shortstop, saw the writing on the wall, knew he was going to have to move, left camp for a couple of days, came back, said, you know what, I'll play third base. And he turned out to be a good third baseman.
Yeah, but he was also not a superstar.
No, I understand that. There's no direct comparison Red Sox-wise.
Well, there is kind of. And it was funny because I was talking about this at dinner yesterday with someone. That's right, I was at dinner with another human being that wasn't one of my children.
Friends.
Nice. Yeah, it was really something else. Is that the Garciaparra thing. And it's not because he didn't want to not play shortstop, but Garciaparra got moved essentially because why? Because it wasn't because the A-Rod trade didn't go through, and then they just couldn't.
He came back.
They couldn't. Yeah, he came back, but then they couldn't coexist. Correct. I mean, the return they got from Garciaparra wasn't huge, was it?
No, they got Orlando Cabrera back when they traded him at the deadline in 2004. That one.
Yes.
Yes, they got Minkiewicz and Orlando Cabrera as part of that deal.
So they moved him more to subtract him than to add something else, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
At the time, Theo said defense was our fatal flaw.
Yeah, so
yes.
Thank you, Lou Merloni, as I usurp your take. What do you know about the Red Sox except playing for them and calling their games? Is that I think that Garciaparra is a pretty good equivalent to this, is that you moved the guy basically because of this reason, and you didn't get a ton back from him, then you went ahead and won a World Series.
No, it's actually your own take. Lou is specifically
I said
talking when Garciaparra got called up.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
I was saying my take was superior.
I see.
And then I was putting myself down because Lou Merloni obviously knows far more about what's going on with the Red Sox and Red Sox history than I.
But anyway, the overall point is Devers might be pissed now, but given a couple of days to calm down from all of this, maybe he sees the light and understands that he's better on this team as a DH.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, we have plenty of time to talk about it. In fact, Maz is going to join us. We have our own Tony Maserati. We managed to get someone from our own station on. But he is the baseball reporter's guy. We will have that for you in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, you hear talk about effective treatments for erectile dysfunction and other men's health issues. But is erectile dysfunction just a health issue? It's a health issue.
Running into the end zone, trying to keep the play alive. Falling down, he throws to the end zone. It's caught. He got it. Touchdown.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. A Beasley Media Group station. Essential Sports Hub headline. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, we're getting the Canada versus U.S. rematch we all wanted at the Four Nations face-off. Canada winner over Finland yesterday, 5-3 to advance to the championship game. The U.S. had already qualified. They lost the game to Sweden last night, 2-1. And the Bruins' Charlie McAvoy sat out that game with what Ty Anderson reported was an upper body injury. The Boston Globe, though, reporting overnight, McAvoy admitted to Mass General Hospital for that injury on Monday. His status going forward unknown. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers telling reporters yesterday he has no interest in changing positions to make room for Alex Bregman, the Gold Glove third baseman signed by the Red Sox last week. Meanwhile, Sox president Sam Kennedy telling reporters that signing put the team over the luxury tax threshold and said ownership is willing to pay the tax in order to make the playoffs this season. Angel star Mike Trout said yesterday he plans to move from center field to right field this year in order to stay healthy. Trout missed much of last season because of 2 knee surgeries. And today at 4 p.m. is the deadline or the opening of the window for NFL teams to use their franchise tag. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They've teamed with Charlie McAvoy again this season for 73 reasons to defend New England's first responders. Visit servicecu.org/73. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines in 30 minutes.
Get the app.
There's the potential there for big stuff.
98.5 The Sports Hub app. Get the app. Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
Yeah, saxophone baby.
It's the 1991 theme, Fred. That's a golden year in SNL.
That's when the G.E. Smith was the band leader,
It's
I
nice
believe.
to see him in that SNL 50 cameo with Paul
He
Schaefer.
looked like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's kind of always looked like that.
Yeah, he was always creepy looking.
Oh, man.
Super creepy looking. We are Toucher and Hardy. Ryan Johnston is in for Hardy today. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub. Watch us and Joe Murray live. Clips from all the shows. It's a whole to-do. It's very exciting things. It's monetized very successfully. Saturday Night Live, the 50th anniversary special was on Sunday night. A big curveball to everyone. They played the first episode ever on Saturday night, which is interesting because that episode is on like every streaming platform.
It's even on YouTube now.
Yeah,
Finally uploaded it to YouTube.
Yeah, the first.
Watch it tonight.
What the first? I can save you the. You
I
won't
know,
laugh once.
You had said that last week, and that makes me want to watch it even more because now I feel it's a challenge.
The best part of it is the guy that plays nothing for nothing means nothing.
Billy Preston?
Yeah, because you can just see the cocaine coursing through his system as he does that. But Billy Preston is one of the first guests. The other one is a woman with an acoustic guitar, so you might as well fast forward that.
Joan Baez?
Something like that. Like it wasn't Joan Baez, I don't think, but it was something like that. But which is how ironically, how the 50th, or maybe not so ironically, how the 50th anniversary started. It was a young woman with Paul Simon, and I watched, let's approximate 3 seconds of that before I moved. And then I saw it was like 7 minutes long or something.
Sabrina Carpenter, I think.
Sure. And but I don't care about either of them. And so I didn't want to hear that. And then you had Steve Martin it was apropos that he was hosting it. And the thing about the 50th anniversary special is that everyone in the crowd, in fact, I guess they had a surplus crowd they had to put in another studio, is that everyone in that crowd was a celebrity that had to be impossible to perform in front of because they weren't laughing right. And it was also interesting, go back and watch the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler thing where they go to the crowd and it's a bunch of celebrities. Look, they had to jam a bunch of people, and it's not particularly funny, but they just wanted to have a bunch of celebrities on it. Watch their faces when they don't think they're on camera, and then when they're on camera.
It's great.
One thing is Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner
He did not look like he wanted to be there.
He did not look like he wanted to be there, but as soon as they had whoever was next to him stand up and start talking, he had the biggest smile on his face. He's chewing gum, which is annoying to me.
Yeah.
Like why are you out there chewing gum? That sounds like one of those Rogan things, like that our jawlines are receding because we don't eat hard food anymore.
I had the same thought you did, Fred, about it being a hard crowd with the audience, but then I pivoted to the perspective of the writers, and what a boon, like, to be able to write that Tina Fey, Amy Poehler Q&A sketch and know, like, all of these people are going to be in the audience. These are all the people we have to choose from to, like, sell jokes and stuff.
I think it's terrible.
Oh no!
That's why it wasn't funny. Is because
I thought it was funny.
Get out of here!
No, it was this boon of, like, when we have all these celebrities and all these people that are willing to play along. So it's almost like an embarrassment of riches.
The only funny line was Ryan Reynolds asking them if they had heard anything.
That was good.
Because apparently he's an awful person.
I liked Zach Galifianakis' lines. I liked the
Zach Galifianakis. Whatever. Get out of here. That was so funny.
I thought it was funny.
No, it wasn't.
I enjoyed. That was for me. It was one of.
You might have enjoyed it. It wasn't funny. What part of that was funny?
I just told you I liked the Zach Galifianakis jokes.
What that he had the
Ryan Reynolds?
He
had. They had what's his name?
Keith Richards headband on. That made you laugh.
Yes, it did. Because I'm a simpleton.
Well, Jesus Christ! Now I got to ignore your laughing during this show because it doesn't take a whole lot.
Just seeing Keith Richards stand up and seeing what he looks like now, I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So like the first sketch with well, we won't go through all of them, but with Will Ferrell doing Robert Goulet, which is one of my favorites, and then Kristen Wiig playing like the deformed lady.
Denise, yeah.
Did not hit, and I think the reason maybe that it didn't hit was the audience. Is that the audience just they weren't getting anything back from the audience.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, anytime you see Eddie Murphy is great. I didn't think any sketch was particularly funny.
I thought Black Jeopardy was funny.
See, I thought Black Jeopardy didn't end. I was
Eddie Murphy doing Tracy Morgan was
really funny.
Good.
That was very good.
But it ended with Tom Hanks. They're bringing back like the Trump guy character, and it ended with him shaking Kenan Thompson's hand and saying, "Do you want to do White Jeopardy?" And I was like,
that part they didn't need at all.
Well, but
that's
it's a
then
skit.
it was really
First of all, it
funny.
had Leslie Jones in it, so it's immediately bad.
Yeah.
And second of all, but it had Eddie Murphy, so I could look at Eddie Murphy all day. And then the thing I found the most moving was the Adam Sandler song.
Yes, I did too.
I didn't want to like that, and then by the end of it, I was emotionally touched by it.
The most effective, by far, 1,000,000 times out of everything that they did, and they did a great. Again, Questlove's mix of the artists, the first 7 minutes of the documentary that's on Peacock. I didn't even bother watching the whole thing because I could care less because they don't show any of the good bands or any of the fun things except for Fear.
Sure.
Who's not a good band, but they had a fun show. He mixed those things really well. It was, and no one did it except for Sandler. Like, no one got the feeling of time passing like Sandler. And Sandler had, like, tears in his eyes while he was performing it. And I saw that last night, and I thought that was very effective.
You know what I liked about that, too, Fred, just to tag on to what you're saying, is I liked that he used the opportunity. I mean, we all knew going into this special, which cast members were going to be highlighted over the years, which were going to be celebrated for good reason. And I like that Sandler used that time to kind of remind us of some people that weren't superstar cast members, but still were very effective in their particular eras and were funny people as well.
All right. So, and then there was a very unfunny bit about anxiety on the show with the kid from Brooklyn Nine.
Andy Samberg.
Yeah. And Bowen Yang. But you know why they did that? Is because Hader went through the show.
Yeah.
And so that's why they did it, and then they showed Hader. That was, I think, for the cast. I think that was supposed to be funny for the cast.
And I think it was to celebrate that era, too, that whole, idea of the digital shorts and the musical stuff that Samberg and the Lonely Island guys used to do.
Yeah, but you could make it funny.
Yeah.
There's no way you thought that was funny.
I didn't think it landed.
No, it wasn't, but I have a feeling that was just for the cast. Like, because it was so not funny. It was the 80s for no reason. The song wasn't funny. The concept of it wasn't funny.
But it went on 7 minutes.
And it went on forever. So I have to think, I'm getting to the point now where these people are all so talented that I have to assume that there is a reason why something is so, especially something that was produced beforehand, it misses so wildly. And I got to just think that, I mean, it's not like Andy Samberg doesn't know how to make a funny song. It was so bad that I think it was probably for the cast. I have to assume.
I'm thinking about this now too, Fred. A lot of these are probably too many cooks situations too. Because think about it. Yes, that we saw all the cast members and former hosts, but then think of every writer that was involved and everyone wanting to have a voice in these things being produced. So there's probably a little bit of that too many cooks situation happening with some of these sketches.
I like the Bill Murray appearance on.
I'm just going to ask. Weekend Update in general has always been good.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But it wasn't that night. The Lauren's Friends. I like it that Fred Armisen was like in everything. But
why was that? No
I don't
matter
know.
when I turned, I was flipping back and forth, and when it was happening live, every time I turned it on, Fred Armisen was there.
I think it's because he's reliably funny.
He also, I like Fred Armisen, but he also works in the building, so maybe that's part of it. But they. Like the desk piece of that Cicely Strong or whatever her name is has got to be pregnant, right?
She is.
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say because when I first saw her, I was like, Jesus Christ, this hasn't been good to you. I know it's hard to get a comedy gig, but my goodness. But yeah, she's pregnant. None of the desk pieces were funny, but I do like Bill Murray because he put Norm Macdonald as the best Weekend Update guy.
Second best.
Second best. The joke is the Brian Doyle Murray thing, of course.
I know.
But in reality, he put him number one. Which is, and he left Brad Hall off of it, which is was very disappointing, I'm sure, for Brad Hall and Louise Dreyfus. But all told, in the last skit with Kenan Thompson and Will Ferrell and Eddie Murphy was fine. And everything else was just like whatever. But I understand why. It's got to be impossible to do that.
That's what it is, Fred. It is impossible to encapsulate 50 years of as you pointed out yesterday, the most influential television show of the last half century. You boil that down to 3 hours and 15. It's almost impossible. But what I thought they did well is everything they chose, whether it landed or not, Fred, everything they chose for someone who loves the show and is a fan of the show made you go, oh. Like it at least brought you back to that particular era, that particular time.
You know what it proves, without a shadow of a doubt, is that Eddie Murphy's the biggest star ever to come off of that show.
Yeah.
Because Will Ferrell's been a huge success, big deal.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep's on it, big deal. The guy that you gravitate to in everything is Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. Eddie Murphy is just that incredibly rare talent.
And he stole the sketches he was in, too.
Exactly.
Which proves that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. How long did he ignore it? How long was he away from it?
He was away from it for say he left in 85 or 84. Say he left in 84. I think he was gone for 30 years.
And then there was a thing with
the David Spade
thing.
He said, look at the falling star, and then he showed Eddie Murphy, which pissed him off, and then David Spade apologized to him and everything else.
Then he came back and hosted, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah. It's funny because now Kate McKinnon, because she did that Hallelujah thing when they
that bothered you. It should.
It should have bothered you too.
It did. I thought it was unbelievably cringeworthy, but I still think she's a star, and I love all the other stuff she's done.
It's funny because I should think she's funny, but I just think of them greenlighting her singing when Trump won the first election. A lot of people were frightened, and it's good. Now is the time to go all in and start. If you don't like them, go in all in a comedic way. If anything, just get real low with it. Do whatever you want. But instead, they unironically started it with a spotlight on Kate McKinnon playing the piano, and she played a song by Leonard Cohen that's been covered 5,000 million times, and non-ironically just saying this thing.
And she's doing it as Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and it's like, that would have been bad after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you just did it after a elected president. Regardless of your feelings, because especially Adam, who thought Kamala Harris was far too right-leaning. I mean, Adam just wants everything for free. He's a socialist. Let's be honest. He wants all the money to go to churches to buy spaghetti. But even you, Adam, found that. I know this because we're friends. You found that to be completely
I remember
humorless.
talking about it afterwards and being like how tone deaf it was and how, like, if this is the foot they're getting off on for this first Trump administration, this is not going to bode well for this show.
And it's just the idea of a comedy show. Like if you are a comedy show and you don't like something and you want to, punch up the government and take down, like, all that, then do it. Make it funny and mean and, like, scathing. Have people talking about it the next day. Like, really go all in. This is your opportunity. I mean, there's been plenty of presidents that sucked since Saturday Night Live has been on the air. Like, you've gone after them. Go after them. It's easy. Trump's easy. It's everyone who imitates him's funny.
Maybe the easiest.
Yeah, it's the guy who does. They didn't have him at the time, but the guy who does Trump now is, like, insane at it.
He's
like
so good.
He's so good at it. Because he gets all the.
Johnston.
It sucked when they had Baldwin. They screwed everything up.
Yeah.
Lorne
Did
Michaels
Baldwin do it last night or not?
No.
No.
He didn't.
See, I would have thought that would have been.
You know
a
what
good
they
spot
didn't
for him.
screw up, though? You know what they didn't screw up is the trombone work on the Debbie Downer sketch. I mean, they did fantastic work with that.
They did another Debbie Downer sketch?
They did, yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
You know what's the thing about the original Debbie Downer sketch, and then we'll stop talking about all this, is that Lindsay Lohan is in that sketch. I don't even know how old she was at the time, but she looks good again, but just in a different way because she's gotten really good plastic surgery. But Lindsay Lohan was a beacon of light. She was had charisma. She had a huge star quality to her. If you look at her in that Debbie Downer sketch. Now, Fallon tries his best to ruin it.
Did he break?
He broke last because I think he saw everyone else breaking, and so he couldn't steal it. Right. So he couldn't steal it. There is something funny as they talk about the. There's a whole documentary on the cowbell sketch because they say it's like the best sketch ever. When it's Blue Oyster Cult in the studio and Will Ferrell's playing, like on Bruce Dickinson, who they don't even realize is also the name of the singer of Iron Maiden, which was very distracting.
True,
but they talked to Jimmy Fallon. He's like, and I broke, and he's like, I know everyone always talks about me breaking. Yeah, because you break all the time. You break
every sketch you've ever been in.
And when someone breaks on Saturday Night Live, it's super fun. But when you break all the time, then it's not fun anymore.
You turned it into the bit. Yeah, hack. Always has been, always will be. Hack, hack, hack.
Well, what do you mean? He had the Boom guys on, the Rizzler and Big.
Really?
Oh yeah. Jeez. You want to see a guy just sitting there suffering?
It is wild that he had got that show because he is literally the Gen X Jay Leno. Like if you look at their arcs and you look at their humor,
Jay Leno was
considered. They both are it's just.
But if you, I don't like Jay Leno either. But if you ask comedians about Jay Leno, they're like he's a great stand-up. Jimmy Fallon's not great at anything.
That's fair.
Jimmy Fallon is just a good-looking guy who is so non-offensive that's Lorne Michaels. My feeling is just going, here, America. Here's your mashed potatoes.
Yep.
Enjoy it while you can.
On white bread.
Exactly.
With mayonnaise.
Well, there you go. Now you can live your lives. Adam and I have weighed in on the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. And who would have thought Adam Sandler, in my opinion, was the best part of it? I thought it was very moving what he did. I thought it was, and it's moving. It got me as close to teary-eyed as I can because I'm as old as the show, and it just is about time passing, really, more than it even was the show. And he put Norm Macdonald in the same thing as Chris Farley. It was something else. All right, that's enough for us. All right, Tony Maserati, you know him. It's his. He's going to talk to us about what's going on with Rafael Devers. And we will have that for you in just a moment. Thank you for this musical company.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. alarm clock sounds like this, this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
What if they insist you have to engage?
No.
Even if they insist?
No. What about first base? No.
Are you
just third base?
Yes.
Little bit of dissatisfaction, and when it comes to dissatisfaction in the Red Sox, there's only one person to turn to, and that's Matt McCarthy. But of course, he's not available. So we had to settle for Tony Maserati, who only is the host of the Baseball Reporter, baseball show, and everything else. Tony, hello.
Hello. How are you?
We're good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Just to be clear, Fred, it's the baseball hour.
What? How many
ceased being reporters years ago?
Maz. No, but what was it after that? It wasn't the baseball hour right after that, was it?
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry. I'm not. That doesn't mean I don't listen to it.
You're leading people in another direction. They'll never find it now.
No apology necessary, Fred. I have trouble keeping up with it too sometimes.
No, but I don't want to make it sound like I'm a cool guy like that doesn't listen to the show. I do. I just thought whatever. I don't. I'm so wrapped up in the content, I don't remember the name. All right.
Not a problem.
So anyway, all right. Where are you standing with Devers being pissed? What do you think about the idea that this upsets him?
So I'm not surprised. I mean, every player gets territorial about his position. I don't think he has a choice at the end of the day. I think that's really it. So he can be as pissed as he wants to be, but the bottom line is if he wants to play, he's going to have to move positions. Either that or he sits in the dugout and watches. There's always the chance that he will pout and sulk. Come up with a fake injury the way Manny Ramirez used to do, things like that. But I don't think that's really who Devers is. I think he's, at the end of the day, I think he's a pretty good-natured guy who wants to hit. And the fact of the matter is, a year ago, he sat in the very same spot and spouted on and on about how the Red Sox didn't have the pitching and he wants a better team and he wants to be able to compete. And I'm paraphrasing here. But then a year later, they go out and get some pitching, they get some better defense, and now it's, well, I don't want to move my position. So do you want to win or don't you? And I think at the end of the day, he's not going to have a choice. He's going to have to move, but clearly he's being stubborn about that.
Do you think there's a chance that he goes away, like he just went away last weekend, but he goes away again and waits a few days and calms down and understands that this is a way to make the team better and make them win?
Yeah, John, I think that the Red Sox already tried to do that. My guess is that's why they told him before he left camp. So now, look, the question, and he left camp, what was that? Not this past Friday, the one before. So, to me, I wonder if the only question is whether or not the Red Sox told him he got pissed and left camp, or he said he was going home for his daughter's birthday and he was leaving, and they told him because they knew he'd be away for a few days, and it was a good way to let him sort of get it out of his system before he came back. If that's what they were planning, he didn't get it out of his system. So, look, it might take him a little while to get over this, but I keep coming back to the same thing. What are his options? If Christian Campbell can play second base, Bregman's going to play third, and if Devers wants to be in the lineup, it's going to have to be as a DH or a first baseman. Fact, end of story. And I don't think that they want to trade him. I don't think they can trade him and get equal value because of his salary. Who's going to want a $30 million DH? I just think that he's kind of stuck. They're a little stuck. And if they all want it, if they all want him to play, it's going to have to be somewhere other than third base. But again, the question that's sort of the linchpin of that whole thing is whether Campbell can play second. If Campbell can play second, the decision's made.
All right, so they had to know by getting Bregman that this was gonna be a possibility. So do you
definitely
think, yeah, and obviously with the distressed asset and everything, you're not going to get a lot back in terms of return on your trade. But do you think the team they've had to have known this was a possibility? Do you think the team has thought about the possibility of trading Devers and is ultimately comfortable with if that ends up happening?
I think they've thought about it. My guess is they don't want to do it, and they don't think it's going to be necessary. So it's a hard one to say, are they comfortable to do it? If the guy holds out and doesn't want to play, if it gets that bad, which, again, I don't think it's going to, Fred, I think Devers kind of flaps his gums, and then, it's, well, what are my choices? And your choices are to play, and then he's going to play. So I don't think they want to trade him. I don't think it's going to get that far, but is it possible they poked around? I guess. I mean, sure. I just don't know who would. The real criticism of the Red Sox on this one to me is you signed this guy to a $300 million contract a couple of years ago. He's got the biggest contract in the history of the team. And then you decided within 2 years that he can't play third base, so you gave him all that money as a DH? And that's a stupid business decision if that's the case. So I think they mismanaged his contract, and then they've been trying to keep the payroll down. Well, what'd you give a DH $30 million for? So to me, that's where the Red Sox take the heat. But now they're here 2 years later, and they're trying to get better. Again, if Campbell can play second, the best team they can put on the field is with Devers as DH.
And that's the thing, is that if you trade for Devers, you're going to play him at third base, and you're going to compensate the Red Sox like he's a DH. But the thing is that it is interesting, because if I'm Devers, I'm pissed off because, I'm the highest paid. I go into the offseason the highest paid player on the team. I look at myself probably as the de facto leader of the team. Then you go out in all the free agents and all the trades that you could have made. You take a guy that plays you sign a guy that plays my position, and then I go into camp and you're telling me that you're going to make me a DH. I mean, I understand the frustration of Devers. Now, it doesn't mean that he's getting paid a lot of money, and it doesn't mean that he shouldn't do what's best for the team. But I understand him being pissed off. I mean, that would piss me off.
As long as he works his way through it quickly, or relatively quickly, that's fine. But if he pouts and holds out and comes up with phantom
all
injuries,
I'm saying is that there's a lot of positions that you could have filled. There's a lot of things you could have done, and you signed a guy to directly the one guy that would really directly piss off your best player.
One other thing, Maz, you were mentioning.
Well, let Maz expand.
Oh, okay, go right ahead.
Jesus
first.
Christ, you interrupted.
Go ahead, Maz.
Fred,
My
answer
mistake.
to that is yes, and I know fans get pissed off about it, but the fact of the matter is, most everybody in any job in any walk of life that has some level of professional pride and ambition sits there and says, well, look, like Devers says, I'm a third baseman. I'm one of the best third basemen in the league. You're going to compensate me for that. The Red Sox say yes. They give him $30 million. Then 2 years later, they say, oh, okay, we're going to take away the stage. So you're still going to get the same money, but you're only, you're not going to play at the position that you signed up to play for. And he takes some level of pride in that, and he's territorial about it. So, look, Derek Jeter didn't want to move off a shortstop. Cal Ripken didn't want to move off a shortstop. The Red Sox could have signed, and these are all sort of things that you were alluding to, the Red Sox could have signed Teoscar Hernandez as a right-handed hitter, put him in left field, and that would have been fine. And Jaron Duran would have had to move, or William Abreu would have to move, or, whatever. So they had all types of options, and I think at the end of the day, they whiffed on all these other guys, and Bregman was all that was left. So they decided, well, this is what we're going to do. Now, again, you can blame the Red Sox for some of that, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. The irony of this whole thing, to answer your question, does Devers have a right to be pissed? Of course. Yeah, sure. Anybody has a right to get mad about anything if they feel they've been slighted. He's just going to have to make a choice at some point, because I don't think they're going to budge. And the other thing, Fred, is Bregman's contract, let's not forget, is basically a series of one-year deals.
Right.
If Bregman has a big year, at the end of the year, he opts out, and then what? They're going to move Devers back to third base?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So, the Red Sox have kind of created this sort of unstable situation there a little bit by giving Devers the contract, then going out and getting another guy who could play the position. And all of it stems from, there's a lot of that comes out of this. One is this is all a spin-off of Mookie Betts and the deterioration of the organization.
Which is why they gave Devers the contract in the first place.
Bingo.
The PR was not good around this team. So they were like, okay, we have one young superstar left. We got to sign this guy. How much money does he want? $300 million? No problem. It's worth it's worth the PR we're going to get to sign him. So I don't think they were thinking about 5 days in the future, let alone 2 years in the future when they signed him to that contract. They just needed a young star and put him in there and put him out there every day.
John, that's basically it. Again, it's amazing how that Betts decision is still hanging over their head and affecting them in some ways. And look, I am one of those people who believes that Mookie Betts did not want to stay here, that they sensed he was never really engaging with them. They were always a step behind. So they would get to $200 million and Mookie Betts was at $300 million. They would get to $290 and he was at $350. And when they were at $100, he was at $200. So they were always a year behind the negotiation. But I don't know if I think that was as much him saying, well, okay, thanks for coming back, but the price has now gone up. In other words, they were playing like this ridiculous cat and mouse game. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure either side wanted the other one. But because of that, there's been this whole chain reaction, and they're running around chasing their tail, and they've been mediocre for 6 years, which in Red Sox standards sucks. They should not be a 500 team, and they should, let alone for 6 years. So, they spent all this time the other day when they introduced Bregman, talking about how Bregman chose the Red Sox, and both Sam Kennedy and I almost said Chaim Bloom, Craig Breslow said this, that, well, we're grateful he chose Boston. That means a lot to us. We take pride in that. What they're trying to say is that someone finally picked us after people have been turning on their back on us for 6 years because we couldn't get anyone to come here, including, by the way, a GM, because Craig Breslow was like the 10th guy on their list. So they are scraping to still get people to come here. They traded for Crochet. Walker Buehler's on a one-year deal. So they had to do something a little desperate to try to win. So they gave Bregman a unique contract.
All right. Can I just real quick? I just wanted to ask, because Fred brought this up earlier today, that this idea that Chaim or somebody else told Devers when he signed this deal, like, you're going to be our third baseman through the entirety of the deal. Do you believe that, number one? And were you surprised at all that Cora was as absolute about his answer yesterday and saying, well, Chaim's in St. Louis now?
So this is my favorite part of the whole thing, Ryan. Like, the whole thing was comical. First of all, nobody is guaranteed anything when they sign a long contract. Right. Okay, it's like, this is where we're going to play you now, and we'll see where we are in 5 years. Now, is it possible that Chaim Bloom said to Devers, "Hey, look, we envision you as our third baseman of the future"? Sure, but stuff changes. So, that's not in writing, and I can't remember a contract in baseball history where any player in the contract was guaranteed of being in a position for any length of time. So, that's sort of out the window. I do find it comical that Cora would then say, hey, Chaim Bloom's in St. Louis. Chaim Bloom's been gone for 2 years, and they're still blaming crap on him. So, I think I think Cora got agitated at the person asking the question as much as the question. And I don't even know who asked it, but when I was watching it this morning, his tone seemed to change when the question came from that person. But it was a total shot at Bloom, and it was sort of a message. I think, Cora to me was relaying what we've talked about at the beginning of this call, which was, hey, you sat there a year ago, you bitched about the pitching staff, you said we weren't good enough and you expected to compete. Now we've gone out and gotten people to compete, and you're bitching that you have to sacrifice in order for us to win. And I sort of side with Cora on that one, and I think at the end of the day, Devers has no choice but to get past this.
All right. Well, look, Tony, it's great fortune for everyone, as there is controversy with the Red Sox, and that means there's something to talk about. So that's always
controversy.
Good. Absolutely, Gary.
Oh, God, Fred, I'm the happiest guy in town, believe me.
Yeah, listen, this is going to fill a lot of time. There's no question about it. Listen, Tony, thank you so much. Everyone listen to Tony, of course, on the great Felger and Maz show from 2 to 6, and on the wonderful Baseball Hour, when that gets going. All right. Thank you, Tony. We appreciate it.
Fred, anytime. All right. Talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thank you so much. There you go. The great Tony Maserati. When we come back, another great man is going to be joining us, this time in studio. Man by name Bird.
Oh, sweet.
Has watched another film that he will break down for us. So we will have that for you in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Doubleheader, the Four Nations face-off yesterday at TD Garden, Canada. Winner over Finland 5-3 to advance to Thursday's championship game, where they will take on the United States. Team USA lost a meaningless game to Sweden last night, 2-1. But Charlie McAvoy did not play in that game for the Americans. Ty Anderson reports it's an upper body injury. The Boston Globe reporting overnight McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital for that injury yesterday. His status going forward unknown. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers telling reporters he is not interested in changing positions to make room for Alex Bregman on the roster. Sox president Sam Kennedy telling reporters that signing put the team over the competitive balance tax threshold and said ownership is willing to pay the tax this season. John Heyman reporting this morning the Red Sox are signing pitcher Adam Ottavino to a minor league deal with a spring training invitation. And the window for NFL teams to use their franchise tag will open at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Headlines brought to you by AAA Work Trucks in Billerica. Be a pro on the road this season with new equipment on your work truck or van. They'll take the work out of your next work truck. Visit AAAWorkTrucks.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 8.
More Toucher and Hardy. Boston sports. Boston sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
It's called Rising and Grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass. Hardy, Ryan Johnston is in for Hardy today, and we are very fortunate that I don't even know what movie did you watch?
Captain America: Brave New World.
Okay, Captain America: Brave New World. It's no longer the Chris Evans.
Right.
No,
It's now an African American gentleman.
Yes.
And so there's no rules in superhero movies. They can do whatever they want.
And when they run out of things, they make up a whole new universe.
Well, the good thing
Amazing.
is that they're not doing as well as they used to, and so maybe they'll make a comedy again. There is a comedy that
An original script?
yeah,
Hell
that
you say.
that the guy from I Think You Should Leave did, that is coming out with Paul Rudd in him. So maybe that, what is that called, Best Friends or something, that is coming to theaters. I don't know where I'm going to have to go to see it. Perhaps that dump West Newton Cinema I'm going to have to go to.
Oh, good.
Where
for
they
you.
asked for money for free.
Let's go together.
But
I'll go with you.
But
Yeah.
parking is easy. around
Yeah,
that cinema.
right, yeah,
Parking's
absolutely.
real
Well,
easy.
you could park at the police station and get towed immediately. Listen, West Newton Cinema is great because it shows movies other theaters don't. I just thought it was ridiculous that they were asking for handouts. That they were asking, people had lawn signs that were like, "Save West Newton Cinema." Oh, God. It's like, that's a business. It's not a philanthropic effort. Like, feed hungry children. What do you got to save a movie theater for? That's the kind of thing a rich guy could do. Like, if you're a rich guy, just you save it. You go save it. If you have a bunch of money.
That's the wrong side of the tracks, though, if you live in that part of Newton, right, Fred?
Well, I mean, you're getting close. You're sniffing distance.
I see.
You're sniffing distance to the bad neighborhoods.
Got it.
Look, there was a murder on that side of town not so long ago. There was a guy shot right in front of the West Newton Cinema, right by whatever the government situation is there. That happened last summer.
Yep. No,
because there was a pro-Israel protester was shot. That happened right there. So you could be you talk, you make jokes. There was a shooting right by West Newton Cinema, my friend. In fact, one of the guys that does TV out on the streets, Ted Wayman, and there's another guy that's a really good guy. Big fan of the show. They listen to it in the van. I'll think of his name. He's a really, really good person. But the last time I got a massage over there.
Oh, yeah.
Notice no allegations against me. I keep my underwear on.
Didn't say a word.
I keep my underwear on.
And we're all happy about that.
Yeah, you should be. And the guy was covering the case. He was covering the shooting case that happened. It's a political hot pot. If you go on Sundays by Newton Center, there are people for some reason standing outside with just general anti-war sentiments.
Oh, I have that in my town.
Like, they're just these generic anti-war
out there.
sentiments.
I remember bringing my son back from basketball practice. Dad, why are these people? Election day's over. Why are these people standing here?
It's because I always look and it's just like no war. Like, and they've been out there since for many years. So who knows?
I respect the commitment.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
5 degrees outside.
Well, that makes it all the better.
Yeah,
because then you can really victimize yourself.
Frostbite. Congratulations.
I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Were you at the protest yesterday, Adam?
I did not take part in the protest yesterday, but my kids did.
You
So
call
good on
yourself a real commie. You should have been out there. Commie. All right, very good. Well, listen, everyone is protesting and having a good time. All right, look, Bird, I didn't even know those were going on, by the way, which is how stupid I am. I didn't even know that was happening. There's a whole lot going on I'm unaware of. All right, well, Bird, look, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Fred. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. You know, the college that you're an alumni of sends me very nice but stern letters every time.
Oh, boy. Can you please see them?
They're like super nice.
I'm sure they are.
Because my son had a baseball game at Curry College. Curry College is this great campus, and I'm sure it's a fine school. It's just funny because we have you on, and you have a degree from there, but people, it's almost a compliment to them because people would think that in some way, because people wouldn't think you have a college degree. But here we are.
Yes.
But you are working for the school system now, the Everett school system.
Yes,
You're giving back.
Yes, I am. Yes,
you hear
sir.
that, Adam? He's giving back, unlike you. Go ahead.
And we're building a new TV studio, too. We've been doing the past 2 weeks.
Now, are you building with your own hands?
Yes. Paints and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We just finished painting the studio black, and the other room's like light gray or dark
Just
gray.
in time for the death of local television.
Yes.
So, but you're filming all the sports and everything else.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so this is your full-time job now.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I'm still working at Northeastern and TD Garden on the side.
All right. That's right. You do security at TD Garden. Are you there for Four Nations?
No, I wasn't. No.
Okay. Because there's going to be. Are you going to be there on Thursday?
No, I'm not. I'm like pleading with my boss. I'm like, just let me get in, please.
He tried to get in. The process by which people are hired to do each event is fascinating. They post it, and whoever responds first gets the gig.
Yeah. So I've been slacking.
He wasn't
It's like
fast
driver's
enough.
ed. It's like the Needham Driving School. That's how they do things. All right. So you can't get it because Four Nations on Thursday. I imagine.
I know it's gonna be electric. Absolutely electric.
Yeah,
I want to be in that crowd. I want to feel it.
But the thing is that the tickets are so expensive. I don't know how rowdy it's going to be.
What's the get-in price? I saw it online.
$2,500, I think.
No, the get-in now is like $950.
okay.
They showed on TV today.
It was over $1,200 yesterday.
It was over $1,200 yesterday, which is again, if I was going to buy tickets on the secondary market for that, I would not buy them at least until tomorrow.
Okay.
Because people go pie in the sky at the beginning.
Was it the day before or 2 days before? We were talking about this.
We were talking about it probably on Friday then because you weren't here yesterday. But the get-in price for it is ridiculous. But that's the thing is that you might think it's going to be super rowdy, but when the get-in price is $1,000, maybe people not as intoxicated, which is not. Then you don't get the action.
No, not much action.
All right. Well, listen, you went to see the new Captain America.
I did.
And we will hear about how you thought about that. Your head is already very red. It's
It is?
gotten red since you've been in here.
Nice. I'm not sweating it.
All right.
Friends have it over. Under.
Are you teaching the kids how to be on television?
No, not yet. No, we're in the process.
But
of
you
making
will?
this. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So you're going to teach them how to answer the phones?
Yes.
Are you going to bring in your own home? Are you going to tell them how to assemble a home entertainment system in front of the phone that you're supposed to be answering?
No.
Are you going to bring in people to teach a class for you and just sit there?
Well,
like
that's like
Penguin?
Gary. But if you don't know, Bird answered the phone for us for a few years. And during that period, he one by one brought in pieces of audio-visual equipment. So he could wear headphones and watch movies during the show.
And listen to the show, too.
No, he was watching movies. He literally brought in a system to watch movies during the show because the show was so boring to him.
It was only during the summer. I know it's a lot going on in the summer.
But again, the show was so incredibly boring to him that he had to bring in a home entertainment system to watch full movies. Not little. YouTube wasn't enough.
Nope.
He had to watch full movies, and that's what Bert did. So that's why Bert is such a good movie reviewer because he really he's doing security. He's walking around with the DVD, like virtual reality goggles on. He's doing a whole thing. But he watched Captain America, and we'll have that for you in just a moment.
Boston's home for sports.
He scores! What a blast by Boston! Waiting, Holiday screams, good night!
WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, it'll be the U.S. and Canada playing for the Four Nations Face-Off Championship on Thursday night at TD Garden. That after Canada beat Finland yesterday 5-3. U.S. lost to Sweden last night in a meaningless game 2-1. Charlie McAvoy of the Bruins sat out that game for Team USA. Ty Anderson tells us it's an upper body injury. The Boston Globe said overnight McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital for that injury yesterday. His status going forward is unknown. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers yesterday told reporters he is not interested in changing positions to make room for Alex Bregman. Asked if he'd be willing to DH, Devers simply said no. Sox president Sam Kennedy says ownership will be paying the competitive balance tax this year, and they're willing to in order to make the playoffs. John Heyman says this morning Red Sox have signed pitcher Adam Ottavino to a minor league deal with an invitation to spring training. Angels star Mike Trout telling reporters yesterday he plans to move from center field to right field this year to help him stay healthy. And NFL teams get to use their franchise tags starting at 4 p.m. today. Patriots not expected to use theirs. Headlines are brought to you by Eastern Mass's leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain? You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got more headlines in 30 minutes.
Boston plays here.
Pressure, half court, it's in the air. He got it! He did it again!
98.5 The Sports Hub. Hey, listen, if you've got to go, we understand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy.
That's what I want on my tombstone.
On the Sports Hub.
They're live, and you can get involved in the very negative conversations that go on in there. Somehow all the conversations are negative, but everyone that I know from the YouTube that reaches out is delightful, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there, but whatever. As long as you're watching, I don't care what you say. But I do care about this, Adam. You'll find this interesting before we get to the movie review. This is from a man named David. He said, I didn't watch it. I saw about we talked about Saturday Night Live's 50th.
Yeah.
One of the most irritating things in the world is when someone says you thought that was funny, it wasn't funny at all, or you think that band was good, that band sucks. Fred, you do that all the time. And then he gets into politics. And I don't feel like doing that. Fred, people have different tastes and like different things. Even John lies about not liking things because he's afraid to admit it because he cares too much about what you think of him. Who are you to tell Adam or anyone for that matter what they should think is funny or not? It may be your biggest flaw. So you don't talk to your friends about what they think about things?
Also,
and then challenge what they think about them?
Also, we should agree more because that makes for good radio.
No, but beyond all that, beyond being on the radio, so if you have a friend or like not a stranger, but like a friend or an acquaintance, and they go, not even an acquaintance, a friend, like someone you see a lot, and you're talking, and they go, I saw something, did you see it? And you went, yeah. And they go, I thought it was funny, and you didn't think it was funny. You don't go, why did you think that was funny?
No,
that wasn't funny? Why didn't you think it wasn't funny?
No.
Then how do you communicate with people? Why do you, if you go see a movie with someone and they liked it and you don't like it, you just go, oh, that's fair. You like, you don't go like, why did you not like it? Like, you can't have liked that.
Those conversations are even more interesting between you and I, Fred, because our interests overlap in so many areas that it becomes very interesting when we don't agree on something.
I find the notion of you wouldn't challenge what someone you know likes. Then what is the purpose of art?
By the way, and what's more fun than busting your friend's balls about something they like that you think sucks, right?
And what is the purpose of art if not to be divisive? I mean, that's the whole point of it. Like, so if this goes out, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy that emailed. If you had a friend who goes, you got to see this show. It's called Full House. It's got these 3 precocious girls on it. And I'll tell you what, Dave Coulier couldn't be any funnier. And then you go, all right, I'll check it out. And then you watch Full House and you see that it sucks. You wouldn't go to your friend, why the hell did you like Full House?
No, you know what I would ask my friend? How did you not tell me about the Greek hunk in there?
Well, listen, the Stamos, but listen, I can just take screenshots of Stamos and satisfy my urges. Or just read his autobiography. But That's just so fascinating to me. So someone goes, "Oh, this is a good band," and then they go take you to see the band, and the band sucks, and you don't go, "This band sucks. Why do you like it?" And then they go, "Oh no, they're good," and you go, "No, they're not. This is why they're terrible," and they go, "This is why it's good."
And then you get into a nice discussion.
It's called a conversation.
Yeah.
What the hell is he talking about? If you think something's funny that I don't think's funny, I'm going to disagree with you and ask you to prove to me why it's funny. That's interesting. It's called showing interest in someone's opinion.
Yeah.
It's, in fact, far more insulting just to not pay attention to it.
Agreed.
That's called ignoring.
Yeah. Your opinion doesn't matter enough to me for me to engage with it, right?
That's so ridiculous. What a boring life.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever challenges your opinions. My God. Look, I do a-hole-ish things. I understand that. I got time to fill. I'm making fun of Adam for very inappropriate things, like his lack of any kind of a semblance of wealth. But those are the things that you should take shots at me for. Not me asking if my friend thinks something, why he thought something was funny. Jesus Christ. Quite a world we live in. Just everyone sit passively by. And what a non-offensive topic, too. If you thought Tina Fey and Amy Poehler going to the audience was funny on SNL 50.
Right.
It's hardly an in-depth political debate. Boy, oh boy. There's something going on that I don't understand. I really am. Maybe you can send me the memes of the guy yelling at the cloud. Because I now you're not even allowed to go, what the hell's wrong? Like, why do you like that band? Why do you like that band? They suck. You know, the Postal Service are getting back together. Oh, the Postal Service. The Postal Service suck. No, they don't. Wait, why do you like them? They're all softy talking. What, are you going to get in a garage with your friends and start whispering over dulcet guitar tones? Well, you don't understand their lyrics. That's called engaging with someone. Wanting to find out more. You know, you can change someone's opinion too, stupid. You know that, right? Like the whole idea is that if then you have a conversation and then maybe they can sway you to their thinking and maybe you'll find an angle on something that you didn't know before. Oh, stop it. Stop it. You like them, don't you? You like the post. Oh, you are such
I love this song.
Let's take Death Cab for Cutie and make it more ballless.
And you know what's even better, Fred, is this song is covered by that Iron and Wine guy who whispers
what
and
is
plays guitar
this?
that you hate.
This
it's
is
such
the
great hype by
Postal Service, which is...
I've heard this. Okay.
We should move.
This is like the Fireflies song.
Okay.
All right, very good. All right, look. I just wanted to bring that up. Bird is here, though. Let's not waste Bird. He is now a proud graduate of the great Curry College. He is...
gainfully employed.
He's working for the public school system. He has got a lot going on. And young Nick Gillette-Melly, took him to go see the new Captain America before it came out. This would be the time where we said no spoilers, but if you're worried about spoilers for the new Captain America movie, things have gotten to a point in your life where I can't help you.
Yeah.
Like, the shield!
I know.
Don't talk about what happens to the shield! He throws it with his left hand. No, I don't need to know that. All right, here we go. The great only movie that's playing in theaters right now, Captain America.
Okay, first off, what's your name?
Bird.
Bird, can we use this for the radio?
Yes. For radio. This is the part where Hardy would make fun of Nick, but I won't go there.
I'm sorry, sir, your diction is incorrect.
Yeah, that's just Hardy, though. That ain't me, you know?
Can we use this for the radio?
Yes, and it's a stupid law Massachusetts made. Carry on.
And where are we?
That's the law to ask for consent to be recorded.
I know, but I just...
Right, no, it's a stupid law, right?
I agree.
It got us in hot water many, many years ago.
It did.
We're in Somerville at the AMC Theater where you just saw Captain America Brave New World. It should have been Bird World Order, not Brave New World. It was New World Order, but they changed it to Brave New World for whatever friggin' reason. I'm not getting into that because we'll be here for another 20 minutes.
The Shield.
So they changed the name of it?
Yeah, they did. It was New World Order to Brave New World.
New World Order. That was
that's
WWF.
That's blasphemy.
That's right.
Yeah, remember when the Hulk turned heel?
Yes.
Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah, he went over to the WCW, and they wrote him as a bad guy. Yeah, that's hot cooking.
2 New World Orders, if you remember, Jay Stu.
Oh, do I remember, stupid?
Wolf.
I've forgotten more than you'll ever know.
Remember the Wolf Pack?
Yeah. They were like, they came out at night and ate people. They were a pack of wolves.
Yeah, but it's a popcorn shield.
It's a popcorn shield. How much was How much was that?
Oh, I asked the girl. It was $27. I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh, all right.
The popcorn.
So they had a Captain America shield. You just lift up. It was a Captain America shield. It was like maybe 8 to 12 inches tall. They just dumped.
And it was $27.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's quite a markup from what it costs at the theater.
I think they make it for $3 and they charge 27.
Well, the popcorn itself is worth under a penny, so I got to assume that. I mean, it's 0.001 cent of merchandise, and they're charging $27 for it. That's a bold statement. You might price people out with that. That might be better to price down.
That's a tipping point right there.
If it was $10, I think people would be a lot more likely to buy the toy with the popcorn in it than $27. It seems like a fairly random price point. I mean, what it's filled with is non-hyperbole worthless. Popcorn costs no money.
All right, so
if you brought Noah, I would have bought it for him. Or I brought my nephew or something. Yeah, sure, but I wasn't. No.
He's not. I'm never going to bring him to the movie theater.
I know,
Anyway,
but if you brought him back something, that'd be nice for him to play with. Put stuff in the popcorn bag with Captain
so you're
America
saying
stuff.
I'm a bad dad?
I didn't say you're a bad dad. I think it's a missed opportunity for your son.
You could have replaced the laundry bag that you usually have him, the dry cleaning bag that you usually have the child playing with the Captain America thing, and maybe it could have saved a life, but who knows?
Put stuff in the Captain America.
All right, who's in the movie?
Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, and I forget the other actors and actresses' names.
Okay.
Yep.
So what happens in the movie?
So Captain America's on a mission. He's suspicious. Oh, wait, that guy from, what's that show? Better Call Saul's in it.
Eric calls Saul's in it. Now, do you... Yeah, right. But it's Eric calls Saul's. Why not?
Eric.
When you hear these things, is your brain telling you, when you hear it, like the answer, but when you're in the spot, you can't come up with it?
When I'm in the spot, my brain has a slow processing. It just takes a few more seconds to.
That's
spit
all
it
right.
out.
Yeah, you gotta nudge the hamster awake before he can run on the wheel.
Yes.
I understand. I understand. We've never done this with you in the room.
I know it's a little. I like it so far.
I'm enjoying having you to bounce off of and finding out what's really going on here. Bird's good because they'll always come in.
Yeah.
I like that.
What's that show?
I forget his name.
Better Call Saul's in it. The guy who owns the chicken place, the chicken store, the fast food restaurant. I forget his name, but he's cool.
Gus.
So, anywho.
It doesn't matter. He couldn't think of it. He's trying to explain who it was. There's a guy from Eric Calls Small that owns the fast food.
No, I just was able to put it together based on what he was saying.
He's talking about, of course, Al. You might know him better as Mr. Miyagi.
Right.
He owned the burger place
Right.
where Fonzie jumped over the fried chicken stand.
Okay.
So Captain America is doing a mission. He's sniffing around, thinking something's wrong because things weren't adding up for him. And then you got President Ross, played by Harrison Ford. They want to work together. They have a conversation. Okay. Then crap went down.
All right. Well, there's so many spoilers. I mean, you guys were pretty irresponsible putting this together.
Well, I don't want to give away too much details. I want to give away the whole freaking.
What was this conversation?
He wanted to bring back the Avengers. I didn't want to spoil that for everybody. I think they said in the preview, but I'm not sure. So he wants to bring back the Avengers. They're working on that. Something happens. That gets a back seat. So
what?
What took a backseat again? I'm trying to remember.
I'm talking to, but you're the ones who said it.
I know. I can't remember. It's the top of my head right now.
That gets a back seat.
What are you saying there?
That conversation takes a backseat.
That gets a back seat.
Are you positive you were saying that conversation takes a back seat?
Yeah, I think it was about the Avengers.
That gets a back seat.
Yeah.
Are you positive you know what you were saying there?
No.
Yeah. Because I don't think you're saying that conversation takes a back seat at all.
Okay. I think the conversation in the movie took a backseat, not me.
No, I understand what you're saying now.
Gotcha.
Now you're ironically live on the radio. Yes. You're much more eloquent than you are while being taped. It's funny, at 8 a.m. on live radio, I can understand everything you're saying. But with the microphone in front of you at the movie theater, you're rendered speechless.
I'm all over the place. Yeah.
That gets a back seat. So
The guy's back with his shield.
All right, now the hamster has got to be replaced. Now
Tripped
that hamster's
tripped and
died.
fallen over.
Yeah, now they're
Those batteries.
the Sandman's come out to sweep that hamster
The wheel
away.
ain't moving.
Yeah, that wheel is stuck in neutral.
Does he have anything like that? Was he carrying in that? No, he's very proud of that shield too. He's carrying with honor and
All
respect.
right, so it just occurred to you what you're talking about?
Yes. No, we're talking. Me and Nick were watching the guy. He walked by us with the Captain American shield on his back. We're like, what the hell's this guy doing? From the movie theater. And then he walked by on the other side, and he was like standing in front of a Converse store. And you'll hear it. I was just basically saying, get the new Chucks or whatever I was saying. Yeah, we were just distracted by a guy.
All right, now
It's just weird.
you've devolved into your
I'm
after
lost.
movie
Yeah,
self.
I'm
All right,
lost.
there was a guy in a Captain America costume apparently.
Okay.
My God, you're a brave man, sir. Brave man. Go on Converse. Get some shoes.
Why did you do a British accent?
I don't know. I know. I saw an American Badass movie, and spitting out the British accent. A very horrible one at that.
Huh?
What is happening here?
I don't. American Badass movie, and now you have a British accent?
No, I was saying we just saw American Badass movie.
You heard the song by
Captain
Kid
America.
Rock, and it made you want to talk like you're from Lithuania. I understand. It all makes sense. Of course, American Badass would make you use a British accent.
Get the Chuck Taylors. I hate Chuck Taylors, dude. Those suck.
What's adamantium?
So it's the.
Okay, so I have a feeling that you have a little problem with keeping focus.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
all over
easily
the place.
distracted.
Oh, easily. It's not a good thing
All
once in
right,
a while.
very good.
Get the Chuck Taylors. I hate Chuck Taylors, dude. Those suck.
What's adamantium?
So it's the metal that they stuffed into Wolverine's body, and it's indestructible. Yeah,
They stuffed it?
oh well, they used needles and liquefied it.
Just spit on it.
I'm sorry. We're too close. And crap went down, and they fixed it. And the president had a press conference, and the president lost his shit and basically turned red. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was good. It was a solid, good movie.
Do you remember what happened in the movie?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you had to write down what happened in the movie, you'd be able to do it?
Yeah.
So they inject Captain America, a man, just a civilian, with some kind of serum?
Yes.
And then he becomes Captain America.
Yeah. Super soldier syndrome.
But then,
Syndrome.
but Harrison Ford is the president, doesn't like that.
No, but he got behind the scenes. He was getting gamma radiation from a scientist.
The president.
Yes, the president.
Played by Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. Yes.
Okay.
Played by Harrison
See,
Ford.
that part I understood.
Well, listen, this is quite the synopsis.
You will not be disappointed. There's a plot to it. There's a good.
Oh, is there? No kidding. I mean, it's been explained. Now there's no point in even going.
You will not be disappointed. There's a plot to it. There's a good storyline behind it.
There's a plot to every movie.
Yeah, some of it sucks. Sometimes it sucks.
Okay.
There's some movies that don't have plots. Don't put me on the spot because I can't answer that right now.
He's a big Fellini fan. You don't know that about Bird. He's a big fan of abstract cinema. He doesn't need a plot where they
Sure.
throw plot out the window.
Just give me some action. That's all I
You're
need.
chopping up eyeballs, baby.
Okay. What's the big difference between Steve Rogers and Sid Wilson?
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson. I was thinking about the DJ from Slipknot.
Jesus Christ, the two of you. I wonder if you would
Just when I had it, now I've lost it again.
If they had a blinking contest, it would you would have you. There's no stopwatch that could act as quickly. You're like two wet cats, the two of you. Anything you see in your peripheral is immediately has to be focused on. You know, there is an Adderall problem, but not for you two. All the Adderall people are abusing should go right into your systems.
So, you liked the movie?
Yeah, it was good.
There was
Yeah, it
no
was good.
smooching.
No. Oh, there wasn't. No, there wasn't.
no
I'm pretty happy
smooching.
with that. Okay. No,
Because you don't like when there's kissing in movies.
In action movies, if it's like a romantic comedy, okay, fine, I get it. But if it's action movies, if there's no need for a kiss, there's no need for a kiss.
You don't like women in movies.
I do. I do.
No, you don't.
I do now.
You are. It's Will now.
Now, when did you turn over the leaf of accepting women as
No, I
actresses?
accept women. No, I always did.
But you get pretty riled up. Like you.
No, what's her face? Who's in the Notebook? She's in like every other movie, like every 2 movies at one time. What's her
Rachel
name?
McAdams?
Yes. No, that was Rachel McAdams, was it?
That was the one in the Notebook.
Yeah, her. Because she did that.
She's
did
in
that, Wedding
everything.
Singer. She did a bunch of movies, like randomly in the row.
Well, she was in The
Wedding
Notebook and The Wedding Singer, which were the only movies released in the last decade. So I do see your point.
Singer. No, there's a point in time.
Your
she was in, like,
point
every
is,
other
if you have a
movie, yeah.
vagina, stay out of my phone.
No.
Unless they're on my phone.
God help you if there's a woman in charge in the movie. Then we have.
You don't admit you don't like that.
You don't like that at all.
No, no, it's fine. A woman director? That's cool.
No.
Do you love your
What, like executive producer?
Female lead character.
In an action movie?
Yes.
Oh.
Like
I
Black
didn't mind,
Widow.
I didn't mind, no, I didn't, no, Scarlett Johansson's great. I liked Angelina Jolie in that, Laura Starcraft, I think it was. Yeah.
Laura Croft.
Laura Croft, yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
StarCraft. Same difference. Yeah.
Let's think of another game.
No kidding.
I
think it's a little bit above good now. There was no smooching. Not too many ladies in this movie.
Not too many ladies.
No, I was pretty shocked by that.
You didn't like the lady in the movie?
No, at first I was like, what's this bitch all about? And then I'm like, oh, okay, she's cool.
Look at you.
We're going to get calls.
You are a sassy
Oh, boy.
bird. My goodness.
Okay.
Calls and emails.
It's more on the bottom end of all the movies.
It's in the middle. It's good. It's in the middle.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Kids will get a kick out of Red Hook.
All right, great. All right, that's it.
All right.
So,
Good goals, huh? Well, see you later.
All right. Well, very smooth transition there, Nicholas.
They had a good plot, good storyline.
I usually take my daughter to the movies, every weekend. Generally, I'm not. I can't make myself sit through this. I went through that Deadpool thing.
Yeah.
I can't see any more of these superhero movies.
That was a lot. I saw that on a plane. Deadpool and Wolverine.
It's like if the fighting scenes are computer generated, it's just watching ones and zeros essentially. Like there's no. You could make AI do whatever the hell you want. It's not interesting. It's that's where the technology's almost gotten too good. When it's just a computer simulation of something, it takes me completely out of it creatively, which you feel too. I feel about the AI of the way you do about women. It takes you completely out of the plot. Well, Bird, thank you so much.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Are you have the week off? I take it because school's out.
No.
Oh, you're back to work.
I'm working year round. So it's nobody's there now. So we just got crates right now. We're just pushing everything in when I get there because they're doing the floors right now.
Okay.
So they're playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the Everett Auditorium on a big screen, and I'm missing out on it.
All right. Well, listen.
Sorry to hear that.
I know. That's your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen. Bird, thank you so much for the time. We love you. Everyone loves Bird. We will be back. There's more information about Charlie McAvoy, kind of, and everything else going on in the world. We will have that for you in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Ryan Johnston, who is now the play-by-play voice of your Boston Bruins, and gets tickets for every home game if you want to hit him up. And if he doesn't give them to you, get personally offended. That's what I say. You should hear John busting
Like
Ryan.
Wallach.
Wallach just won't shut up about how he didn't get tickets to a game from
I
Ryan.
was too late. I was just
Snooze,
amazed
you
at the
lose,
response.
John.
It wasn't like I waited 4 hours to return the email. I waited like 35 minutes, and then they're both gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, John won't stop talking
a lot
about
of people on that email list.
I know, so I found out. I'm
Yeah.
jealous. I wasn't quick enough.
Because you were being selfish and going for the weekend game. See, I went for the Thursday
Right.
night affair.
Either way, you got back to him way before I did. So
I got back to him. Well, first of all, I'm probably a much higher priority than you. But I got back, like, I'd say 4 hours after he sent it.
I told John, they're already gone. I got to hold on to him for Fred.
Yeah. He saves you in case no one else asks.
Well, I know John never has anything to do, so I can just dump the tickets on him in the last 5 minutes if I need to.
Right.
unfortunately, that's very close to the truth.
That's well. Listen,
Nowadays.
I used, and then you look like a hotshot when you have they're good seats, and you look like a hotshot. All right. So anyway, the big story is Team USA, Charlie McAvoy, who, according to the Boston Globe, it starts with the Yanks are hurting, which is a lot of fun. Charlie McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital Monday night as Team USA was battling Team Sweden in the Four Nations face-off at TD Garden. Two sources familiar with the situation confirmed. So it's the day after or it's 2 days after the game.
Right.
He gets admitted to the hospital. So you would assume it's not a brain injury, correct? Because they would have probably handled that. People have told me, and I don't even know who they are, people have said it's a shoulder. But I don't know if that to be true or not. That makes sense. It looks like he hit his shoulder, and it looks like, and if he's going in for surgery. Go ahead.
Well, the thing that's concerning is that he was, if the report is accurate, that he was admitted to the hospital. It's not like he went over to the hospital to get some tests done, which you would think if it's a shoulder surgery. You go over, you get an MRI done. They don't admit you to the hospital.
In the
that.
Globe, because the Globe is like the paper of record, this is what they have to do. They say McAvoy has a history of shoulder woes and had surgery in 2022 for a left shoulder arthroscopic stabilization procedure. It's unclear if his latest injury is related. So maybe they too have heard that it's a shoulder, but it's not substantiated by the sources. Like they're not don't run with this.
Right.
So anyway, the bottom line is this. If Charlie McAvoy has shoulder surgery and he's out for any length of time, Ryan, if there was any hope
before you just take to the next step, I just wanted to mention Pierre LeBrun from TSN reported this morning, Bruins expected to issue an update this morning, and McAvoy is still having McAvoy is still having tests run on.
That's bad. They're in a hurry to get out ahead of this. There's no waiting, the wait and see. I fear the worst.
All right. Well, regardless, let it be known this will not be announced during our show.
Yes.
It'll be announced exactly at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
They generally do come out at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Bruins, I believe they're supposed to practice. Today's their first practice back for those who are not taking part in the Four Nations, and it's not till 2:00. So unless they're going to put out a special statement this morning regarding this, typically we wouldn't hear from anybody there until this afternoon.
All right, so it would be a special statement. Right. Now, if McAvoy is going to miss any length of time, Lindholm's coming back, but if McAvoy is missing any length of time, how do you think that affects what they do at the trade deadline?
I mean, I think it has to. The expectation in getting Hampus Lindholm back in the lineup is that you're finally going to have your top six healthy, which you haven't had since November when Lindholm got hurt. And, maybe that's a lot of teams would look at that and go, it's like getting a bonus when you're headed to the trade deadline. You're adding a defenseman the caliber of Hampus Lindholm. Now he's essentially going to be potentially replacing Charlie McAvoy in the lineup. So it's not really a net gain of anything.
Right.
And so, your team hasn't been as good defensively as you would have hoped throughout the course of the season. And it doesn't, now if this is serious with McAvoy, it doesn't look like you're going to get significantly better in that department going forward here. And that has to color your thinking if you're Don Sweeney and Cam Neely about what to do at the deadline.
And it also raises questions about what to do with the All-Star break, because obviously this has been a huge boom for the National Hockey League. This has worked incredibly. I mean, the atmosphere is incredible. The ratings as hockey goes have been great. But the problem is, you're going World Cup and Olympics every 2 years. If I own a hockey team, I like the exposure of the game. They're probably making some money. But the thing is that these are balls out exhibition games. Like, these guys are going full tilt. And, it's a contact sport. So someone's going to get hurt. And if you look at the guys that didn't play last night, Austin Matthews, both Kachucks, or one Kachuk, Brady Kachuk left the game.
Right.
We heard beforehand they weren't going to play.
I mean, Vegas has lost Shea Theodore potentially for the rest of the regular season. Like, they're targeting maybe he'll be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. So is it worth it this is a question, forget the owners, that you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it as a fan of a particular hockey team to have this, 2 weeks in February if it means it changes the course of the season for the team that you root for? That's the thing. Because it's going to happen every year. Someone's going to get hurt in this.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing these types of games at the level of intensity that they're playing. Yeah, there are going to be injuries, and some of those injuries are going to be serious.
Yeah, so
as much as I hate to admit this, no, it's not worth it. I've enjoyed the hell out of watching all of these games. I didn't think I would, because ultimately, what does it prove? It's not an Olympics. It's not a world championship. It's not anything. But the skill level of these games has been so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's because what it is, John, is exactly that. It's the greatest players in the game trying hard.
It's amazing watching. I mean, it's a level of hockey you just don't see. So it's best on best. Everyone, as you're saying, is trying 100%. But if it means I'm going to lose my top defenseman, we don't know if the Bruins have lost him. We don't know the severity of injury. But let's say worst case scenario.
It certainly doesn't. It's not great.
It's not worth it to me.
Yeah. So say you're a Florida Panthers fan, and Matthew Tkachuk, which is the deal that made you a championship team, he gets in a fight, which he did at the beginning of the U.S.-Canada game, and breaks his hand. Yeah. Which, these are not pie in the sky things.
No.
Like, I mean, the two things that about fighting, for my talking to all the guys who fight that I've talked to, is the embarrassment of losing in front of the audience, and then your hands. Like, your hands. We've talked about it. You've seen Joey Kozer's hands. They're like all calcified.
It doesn't even need to be a fight. Vincent Trocheck took a puck off the hand last night.
Yeah.
If I'm a Rangers fan, my heart's in my throat.
But what I'm saying is that it's beyond just the randomness of getting hit with a puck. It's like they're fighting. Like, and if you hit a guy in the head, and you're going to break a finger, and you break a finger, and then you're out. So you own the Florida Panthers, you're a Florida Panthers fan, and now the chances of you winning the Stanley Cup go down a million.
Yeah.
Because you've lost the linchpin of your team.
And you don't know how long Kachuk's going to be out. They had him on the broadcast last night. They had him during the second period last night. Very non-committal about whether or not he could play on Thursday. So,
but imagine if the Bruins, this was a year where the Bruins were like on pace to get the President's Trophy.
Yeah, right.
Like, and you lose McAvoy. I mean, this year it's like, okay, they probably weren't going to do much anyway. But if this was a situation where the Bruins were good, you'd be fit to be tied.
Florida's having a good season. Vegas is having a good season. I mean, there are plenty of teams in that category right now.
Right. So the idea, look, they're going to do the World Cup and the Olympic thing. That's what the players want. Fine. But the other 2 years, you can't have this again. You got to go into like a non-physical all-star situation.
There's like a lot of things, though. It's going to be about money.
I know.
This is turning into a major revenue generator for the NHL and the Players Association. They're 50-50 split on this, so the players are getting a piece of the pie here. And the TV ratings are through the roof. So TNT and ABC, ESPN are going to be pushing the NHL hard. Yeah, we want this because this is in February, which is a ratings desert in the world of sports. We get 2 weeks worth of massive ratings for hockey.
Yeah, but then I go, what about my gate? I'm costing myself, 12 playoff games because I lost a guy during this, and I've lost the gate of that and the ratings of that. So, I mean, it's a robbing Peter to pay Paul. I bet you the league wants to do it,
Oh,
It
the league actually. I mean, think about it. They did this during the NBA All-Star Weekend. Everyone, regardless of how boring it is, everyone watches this. They did Saturday night.
Well, because the juxtaposition of the two is really good for the NHL
Yes.
too, because it's such a clown show, the NBA
Yes.
All-Star Game, that when you have this level of competition, that even my son, I know doesn't matter, but my son could care less about going to a Bruins game, but he's been on me to try to get tickets to this Four Nations. Now, we didn't get them, and that's great. I understand, and I'm not buying them. So
Come on, Fred. It's only $2,500 for the two of you to go.
Yeah, I took him to the divisional round in Detroit. That was enough. That's his big ticket. And I bought Tyler, the Creator tickets and Kendrick Lamar tickets for my daughter. I've spent enough on tickets this year. It's over. I'm taking him to spring training. It's enough. No, we will not be going to the Four Nations because he got a wild hair because he's been homesick and just nothing to do, so he decided to go. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. If anything happens, we'll let you know about it. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, as we were just talking about, concern over the health of the Bruins' Charlie McAvoy sat out last night's U.S. loss to Sweden 2-1, and the reports are it's an upper body injury. The Boston Globe says he was admitted to Mass General Hospital for that injury last night, and now TSN's Pierre LeBrun says the Bruins plan to issue an update on McAvoy later this morning and says McAvoy is still having tests. Canada, meanwhile, beat Finland yesterday 5-3. They advanced to Thursday's championship game against the United States. That, of course, will be held at TD Garden. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers told reporters yesterday he is staying at third base. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Despite the signing of Gold Glove third baseman Alex Bregman, asked if he'd be willing to DH, Devers said no. John Heyman reporting this morning the Sox have signed pitcher Adam Ottavino to a minor league deal with an invitation to spring training. And the NFL will open the window for teams to use their franchise tag this afternoon at 4 p.m. Sports Hub headlines brought to you by Bentley University, where good business begins and leaders come to learn. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. More headlines at 9 o'clock.
the song I listen to the most to on Spotify, which is everyone's very excited about.
Put it in the mix. Papa Lodge, big shot on the East Coast.
It's a remix, you know.
Yeah.
So you gotta... All right. By the way, kids at my son's been sick. Kids at my son's school have whooping cough.
Oh, that's always good.
Which I was talking to someone at his school, one of the teachers, and didn't that go away in the 1800s?
Get used to that.
Oh, don't worry about that. We got a new guy in charge. Make sure there's whooping cough plenty to go around.
All right. How dare you? How dare you attack our president?
There's a big measles outbreak going on in Texas right now.
That's right. I saw that. Yeah.
But is there a vaccine for whooping cough?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason you would get whooping cough is that you haven't been vaccinated for whooping cough. Okay. Well, my son's if there's a vaccine for it, my son's had it.
Yes.
So at least he doesn't have whooping cough. That negotiation about getting him to go to school. Achi machi. All right. So anyway, every time we talk about the Patriots, they have so much salary cap room, and you think of all the needs they have, and your mind goes bananas. And the best free agent on the market was T. Higgins, or is T. Higgins, and then, so you start going, is he a real number one receiver? His hamstring hurts, all these things. But under the assumption that the Cincinnati Bengals, because of the amount of money Joe Burrow's getting and the amount of money Chase is demanding, that, you couldn't afford to keep T. Higgins. But Wallach, there's been a big curveball thrown.
Yes. Sports Illustrated reported yesterday Cincinnati plans to put the non-exclusive franchise tag on T. Higgins. This would be the second straight tag for Higgins as well. So the price for him would go up. Needless to say, a huge financial commitment for Cincinnati. But as it affects the Patriots, that takes a huge target off the board. Patriots obviously have more cap room than anyone else. They could afford to overpay him. But he was far and away the clear best choice as a free agent wide receiver. Chris Godwin, who is, injury prone and older, is the second best option. And then you're down to Amari Cooper. And, I mean, this is a huge piece of news as the Patriots gear up for the offseason. This takes a mammoth target off the board.
Yeah, the way they're listed is Diggs and Stephon Diggs, who you want to bring him into this team.
Do not want Stephon Diggs on this team.
No, and I don't even think he'd sign here. And then Amari Cooper, why the hell would he sign here? And anyway, he wants to win. Why would he sign with the Patriots?
And just say, pie in the sky, he does want to sign here. He did not finish the season well. Remember, he got traded, and he was hurt for most of the year.
Right. Well, first of all, I don't know why you'd want Amari Cooper, but say you have a ton of money to spend, you could get him on a short-term deal, and you just want his presence in the locker room. My point would be that's a lot of money for that. And then also, why? Why would he want to come here? Why would he want to come here to lose? Amari Cooper's probably made plenty of money. He's 30. You got to figure. But your 30-year-old receivers coming off injuries that aren't number one receivers anymore is not as enticing as T. Higgins.
So, I mean, Godwin is your best bet. Leadership-wise, apparently he's very, very good. He won't cost you as much as Higgins would have. But at the same time,
he's been playing next to a Hall of Fame receiver who's massively underrated his whole career.
Yes.
And what are his physical tools?
I mean, he's not an outside guy, really.
No.
He's not a burner. He's more of a slot guy, get open.
He has great hands.
Yeah.
You'd be getting a slot guy with great hands who's been playing off a true number one receiver. And this makes you think at 4, boy, you got to pray that there's quarterbacks taken at the top of this draft. You got to think at least the Giants got to go for a quarterback.
Everything you read say there'll be at least one Cam Ward taken before your turn.
I'm telling you, I read one of the mock drafts from the beginning of the year. Field Yates' mock draft before the college football season. He had Carson Beck going number 1 and Ewers from Texas going number 4.
Yep.
Carson Beck's not going to get taken until the 3rd day probably, and Ewers transferring. Carson Beck is one of them is transferring.
I think Beck transferred.
Okay, one of them is transferring,
sure,
and the other one I don't know. So maybe Beck's transferring, but it's not good news. So what I'm telling you basically is this: is that the top of the draft, and no one had Cam Ward as a first-round pick going into this season. Yeah. Nobody. So I realize that things change, and that Jaden Daniels wasn't considered like a huge prospect going into his Heisman season, but. There could be a lot of goings on at the top of that draft. Every mock draft, I don't think is set in stone. Go ahead.
The more I look at this, the more I realize, because Field Yates just put up a new mock draft last night with Mel Kiper. Apparently, they put up one every week on YouTube. They have Will Campbell going fourth, but Kiper's quick to point out the prospects between 4 and 12 are basically the same. So,
Carson Beck transferred, by the way, to Miami.
Beck transferred to Miami. So, if you're the Patriots, what do you do here? I mean, there's no wide receiver. That kid McMillan out of Arizona, maybe you can get him at 8 or 9, whatever. He's not a clear-cut pick at number 4. There are no clear-cut picks at number 4. And now you take the wide receiver off the board? I mean, what a terrible piece of news for the Patriots. I don't know what they are going to do. There's no impact guy out there unless you can convince someone to trade with you. They tried drafting a wide receiver in the second round last year. How'd that work out? I don't know
it worked out for a lot of
teams.
A lot of teams it worked out fine for. There's an incredible amount of depth in the NFL draft at receiver. The one position that you'd want to be needy at going into a draft based on talent available, depth of talent, is receiver. And I guess the defensive line depth in this draft is crazy too. But you can get guys in the second and third rounds. They just don't. And there's other teams that don't too. They get bumps in third rounds.
What direction? If you're the Patriots, you need a wide receiver. You need a bona fide number 1 wide receiver, or something close to that.
And you're not going to get one in free agency.
Where are you going?
You're going to have to draft one. And you're not going to be able to do it all in 1 year. And this is the thing, is that this idea of that you're going to flip this roster in 1 year, and this is, look at what Washington did and all this. This roster's too bad. There's just not enough talent. Great players don't become free agents. They just don't. Teams that are fortunate enough to draft well retain those players. They don't shake them loose during their prime. And that's why when you go crazy in free agency, you get that 1 year bump and then everything falls apart again. You're not going to be able to rebuild the entire offensive line in one offseason and get receivers. You're going to have to improve as much as you can around Drake May, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, I think now that Higgins is off the board, you throw as much money as you can at the offensive line.
Yep. That's what I would do too.
That as quickly as you can.
Yeah, and then I would draft offensive. You're in a position, if you're the Patriots, and I don't think you disagree, is that I'm not drafting by position.
No,
I'm drafting.
This team can't afford to do that.
I have a draft board with the best players on it, and I'm taking the best player available.
I don't care if you have good defensive linemen. If Mason Graham, who is the kid out of Michigan, if no one wants to come up to 4 to give you more draft capital, and Mason Graham, or even if it's Will Campbell, the offensive lineman from LSU, I do not care. Take the guy at the top of your board and you move on, because there's so many needs on this team. You just need talent.
Yeah, just look at how the Eagles put that team together, and you're an Eagles fan, Ryan. I mean,
be solid on both lines.
But the thing is, Roseman is a great GM who hit on how many picks? Roseman hit on just about all of them.
Well, how about this?
And
if you want to talk about redundancy, how about this? The Lions drafted incredibly well too, but what's the big talk going into this draft is that they're going to trade for Myles Garrett, which they already have Aiden Hutchinson, who's an all-pro, and they're going to trade. So redundancy, I would not be concerned about. That's a luxury that you don't have.
I don't care. Draft Mason Graham.
Yeah,
I used to play him next to Barmore. I don't care.
As an Eagles fan, it used to drive me insane when Andy Reid and company used to draft offensive line in the first round every single year. And it's like, come on, Andy, this isn't fun. Like, I want toys. I want wide receivers.
I know.
But it makes sense. Yeah. Like you're nothing without a decent offensive line.
Yeah, and that proved it. The line play is what proved it this year. And who doesn't? I mean, what's going to happen? Philadelphia's not going to be bad next year. That I can tell you. All right, people are getting out of control with their phones, and I'm not seeing things the same way as a lot of people. We'll have that for you in just a moment.
Toucher and
This hour of Toucher and Hardy brought to you by Valvoline. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, the Four Nations face-off will continue with the championship game at TD Garden on Thursday, and it will be Canada against the United States. Canadians beat Finland yesterday 5-3. U.S. lost what turned out to be a meaningless game to Sweden last night 2-1. But the big concern for Bruins fans, Charlie McAvoy sat out that game with what Ty Anderson reported yesterday as an upper body injury. The Boston Globe late last night reports that McAvoy was admitted to Mass General Hospital for that injury yesterday. And TSN's Pierre LeBrun says this morning the Bruins plan to issue an update on McAvoy later this morning and says McAvoy is still having tests to determine the extent of that injury. Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers telling reporters yesterday he is not interested in moving to DH to make room at third base for Alex Bregman. Sox president Sam Kennedy told reporters the Bregman signing put the team over the luxury tax threshold and said ownership is willing to pay the tax to make the playoffs this season. Meanwhile, this morning, John Heyman reporting the Sox have signed pitcher Adam Ottavino to a minor league deal with a spring training invitation attached to it. NFL teams will get to use their franchise tags starting at 4 p.m. today. That window opens. Patriots not expected to use theirs. And after rumors of a trade to Pittsburgh, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence said yesterday he has no desire to leave Jacksonville. Lawrence has a no-trade clause in his contract. Headlines are brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Suffering from low T, Game Day Men's Health can help with a free and quick T-level test. Search GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and find the location nearest you. Game Day Men's Health, because every day should feel like game day. I'm Ryan Johnston on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub, where headlines in around 30 minutes.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com.
You said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Toronto's Pearson Airport, amid strong winds and drifting snow, crashed and flipped over on the tarmac on Monday afternoon, finally coming to a rest with its belly up and at least one wing shorn off. Despite the crash landing, all 80 people aboard Flight 4819 from Minneapolis were evacuated. Photos and videos showed flames and black smoke billowing from the plane and passengers coming out the front and rear doors as they walked away the snow-covered tarmac as firefighters hosed down the aircraft. So the aircraft is smoking, and in terms of plane crashes, this makes me feel better. I mean, if a plane can crash and flip over and everyone survives...
It's literally upside down when it comes to arrest.
Right.
And then everyone got out okay.
All right. So this video that my son liked on Instagram, I know this video is on Instagram because it came up in my algorithm because my son liked it. It's got like 2 million views, and I'll tell you the first comment on it after I play you some of the audio. Here's the audio of one of the people leaving the plane.
Everything, drop it. Come on. Don't take no no.
Holy. All right, so you can't hear it very well in the clip, but one of the flight attendants who's getting the guys off the plane tells him to turn off his phone. And the reaction to that online that I've seen is, how dare this woman tell him to turn off his phone? What is going on that your instinct, you're on a plane that's flipped over, it's smoking, and your instinct is to turn on your video camera, and then the audacity to tell the woman who's getting the people off the plane that just crashed, who experienced the crash herself, to go, hey, idiot, get off your phone and start, concentrating on letting us live.
Just leave that person behind.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, if you have your phone out in that situation, you have given up your right to be rescued. Just leave that person on the plane.
Can you
sit here and film while the rest of us head for freedom?
So the plane crashes, and some guy goes to the overhead bin and is like, I have my attaché case is up here. The plane's on fire. Excuse me. if you've brought your phone out, even if it takes you a millisecond to get your video camera up, that's a millisecond too long. There are people behind the guy. What the hell? You just went through the most frightening experience you'll ever be on and survive. The next frightening experience, you're dead. So you survived it. For now. By the way, then these morons are all standing around the plane taking pictures of it, and they're getting hit with hose water because the firemen are trying to put the plane out. And you know what? If I'm a fireman putting the plane out, I don't particularly want it to explode on me. So maybe get out of the effing way.
Fred, if I don't have pictures to post on Instagram, did it really even happen?
That we are part of a human experiment, and it's especially the people who got hurt the worst are the people in their 20s, because at least my kids had a generation of people before them. The people that grew up at the very cusp of social media are so damaged to the point where you could die. And it's very real, because there's probably a part during that plane crash where you believed you were going to die. So there can't be more of a spiritual moment. There can't be more of a life-affirming moment, if you understand what I'm saying, to cherish your life.
Which is why you have to film it, so you can remember how that felt.
And your instinct is, when it all think about this, when you've almost met your fate. The one thing that no matter what science tells us, we'll never know. What happens when you die? What's the point of living? When all of that has come to a head, your first instinct is, I need to put this on the internet. This is not a good place to be. You would think because I put myself in these positions, and I would like to think that if I go through this close of a near-death experience, there is some chemical released or some spiritual force that has overcome me to the point where I'm frightened but yet exhilarated to still be alive.
You would be a forever changed person.
Yes.
If you're not religious, then you become religious.
Right. There's some twist of fate, some higher power, some force of energy, whatever you want to believe, some universal force has decided that I have survived this, that would kill so many others. And not only that, but I am now in this fellowship of people who have gone through the same experience. Let's get off this alive. I mean, these are people you'll know for the rest of your life. I mean, you guys went through. You're the 80 people that survived this plane crash. And the first instinct that you have is to tape it. You can't even get off the plane, because I'll excuse the people that are off the plane, because at that point you're probably like, your brain scrambled and you're just like, I got to take a picture of this to send to my kids or something.
Doug's never going to believe this.
Yeah, but that could be more of like I want to show this to my family kind of thing, like so they can,
Don't worry, there will be plenty of pictures and video.
But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But while you're still on the plane and they're evacuating a smoking plane, that you pick up your phone, and then people see that video and go, how dare the flight attendant tell you to turn off your phone? I imagine she's a little nervous. She has to go bounce into action after she's just survived the plane crash. So not only does she have to get your dumbass off the plane, she had to get herself together. I mean, I take it she's never been in a plane crash before. So she has to get herself together.
Try to remember her training.
Get the doors open and get everyone out alive. So she's really a hero. I mean, she's under the face of pressure. She's risking her life to get everyone off that plane safely. She's on a puddle jumper from I don't remember, Minneapolis to Toronto. I take it she's not some like world, someone who's been around the world a million times. I mean, she's on a crappy 80-seat puddle jumper to Toronto, and yet she had the wherewithal to get out there and get you off the plane. And people's reaction to that on social media is, what a bitch. What a bitch. To tell him to turn off his phone. The audacity of this woman. That's their instinct. Instead of, hey,
hey, dumbass.
What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, everything you're doing is even if it distracts me for a second, stop. Turn off your phone. Let people get out. Yes, Adam.
To your point earlier, Fred, of like where we kind of are as a society, like we've reached a point where there's an entire segment of society that their guiding principle is don't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. That's why you're seeing the comments that you are. Never mind that someone's actions could put themselves in danger, other people in danger. None of that matters to a certain segment of people. The only thing that matters is don't ever tell me what to do or how I'm meant to act.
Well, but not when you're on a plane that crashed.
No, but I'm telling
I understand
you
what
that
you're
doesn't
saying.
matter to them. That's how far beyond the pale we've gone.
But beyond, and I understand what you're saying, and it's an interesting point, but beyond that, there are things like when I see guys that are on the radio that are retired that had good careers and they're still bitching about like what happened when they lost their jobs. And I'm not referring to anyone I ever worked with because you'll run with that Twitter.
It's the first thing I thought of.
No, but I'm not. I'm talking more about guys on the other station that they had long runs and plenty of money, and yet they're just sitting here bitching about like the circumstances of them getting fired. And they have every right to do it, but it's disheartening because that's going to be me one day. And I would like to think that
Doesn't have to be.
Like when you no, but I'll be in the position where I'll no longer be wanted, and then my career will be over.
Fair enough.
And I'm going to be in that position at some point, and I would like to think that at that age and at that level of success, that I've become personally satisfied. Like that, I had a long run. I'm in my late 60s. I had a long run. I got plenty of money. I'm one in 10 million people that get into radio and actually had a career that I can now retire and live a good lifestyle. There's only a handful in every city, and they got to be one of the top 10 markets. If you don't do it in a top 10 market or a top 15 market, you're not doing it. So if you had a long career in radio, and wanted to get into radio, you've done something that really a very small community of people have ever done. Stayed in one place and made enough money to go retire. And you're bitching about how you lost your job. That's scary to me. So this
Cut
is
to the future, and Fred's one of the 12 billion podcasts out on the internet.
I don't
He's
see that
broadcasting to
happening.
7 people.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
you don't see it happening. But neither did any of those people.
And neither do I. And so that's what
I
I'm
could have
saying.
told you it was definitely going to happen. A couple of guys.
You think Mike Francesa expected to be doing a podcast at this
Yeah,
point?
well,
in his life?
exactly. But this is kind of like, this is why this bothers me so much. Is it's not like, oh, you kids. I don't even know how old the guy is. The guy could be 80 years old that was filming it. I just hear him swearing. My point is that I would like to think that there is some order to the universe and that there is some sort of higher power, and that when challenged with death, you gain some kind of enlightenment, at least temporarily, at least for 10 seconds. You have some kind of enlightenment that, you know what, life is more about than documenting my every move. That of all the times that you wouldn't pull out your phone, it would be when the plane crashed. Because I don't know, maybe I do it. And that's the thing that's scary, is that I would hope that we haven't gotten to the point where I know I wouldn't.
No.
I know I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I'll tell you one time.
I'm so scared I'd be running as fast as I can.
It's been well established I'm an a-hole and a piece of garbage or whatever. Okay, great. But I even, like, at one time I was in Milwaukee with friends, and we were walking down the street, and there was a guy passed out in the middle of the road, in the middle of like a city street. And it was early in the morning, and my first instinct was to take my phone out and take a picture. And I said to myself, "Oh my God, you look at you stupid prick! This guy's gonna get hit by a car, and what? So you could put up like a thing on Twitter about it." So I put my phone away, and I said, and my friend ended up touching the guy. I didn't want to touch him, but and getting him out of the road. But so I've had times where I've had to check myself and say, is humanity more important than documenting this?
But your life wasn't personally in danger.
And that's
in
what
that
I'm
situation.
saying. And that's what I'm saying is that I've had that instinct to pull my phone out. I would think that there are circumstances where, as a human being, you have at least temporary enlightenment where you realize that none of this stuff matters. Because if not, that's a very scary thing to think about. And I don't know if it's don't tell me what to do or da-da-da, but just the idea that you can't even stay in the present after your plane flipped over.
Well, the other part of it is you know what you see. How many people, and you've said it many times before, you want to go to sleep, you're sitting there, you're killing time, you're scrolling through Instagram, and all of a sudden 2 hours are gone.
Oh, sure.
But everybody does this.
Right.
Everyone sees this, so everyone wants to get involved with this.
But it's the ultimate extension of when you go to a concert and everybody has their phone out and they're filming the concert instead of watching the concert.
And you're never going to watch the concert again. And you
Yeah.
never will. And the thing is so that's not being present, right? Like, so you want to stay present. That's the goal.
Right. Enjoy the moment.
Every ancient piece of wisdom is to stay, like, your key to happiness is that you're not your thoughts and you stay present. It's basic. It's 1, 2, 3 psychology. However, it's ancient wisdom. It's been around since the beginning of man being able to document things. If you can't stay in the present moment moments after a plane crash, that your brain immediately goes to, I have to document this to put up on my Instagram account. It's going to get a bunch of likes. That's a frightening thought, that we become so conditioned and enslaved by our devices that even in a moment of thwarting death, in people's lives still in jeopardy, that our thought is, I need to get this on the internet. This is going to be cool on the internet. That's frightening to me. And for real, too. Really frightening. And not for society, but for me. What if I've become that? I can't even stay present in an effing plane crash. What if my instinct is, I got to go put this on my phone so people can see it? Not, oh, wow, I'm so lucky to be alive. All of this really is meaningless. These devices and social media is all meaningless. I've uncovered this great wisdom and enlightenment in this moment of near death. That's what I would hope would happen. But apparently it doesn't. You still care about your phone. And people liking you on Instagram. That's what you think about.
That's all
By
that
the
matters.
way, there's footage of the plane actually crashing, taken from apparently the co-pilot of a plane who was waiting to take off, which begs the question, why is he just filming the other planes landing?
Listen, he's got nothing else to do.
That's even worse. You're sitting on a runway.
No, it's not worse. It's not worse than being on an active
It's not
crash.
worse, but it does bring up some questions.
What's he gonna do? I mean, he's sitting there. He can't go anywhere. All right, look, he knows that plane ain't taking off anytime soon. All right, look, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, you've heard a lot about treating low testosterone, how it can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more, but let's talk about your sex drive. Everyone's very angry. I understand. It's vacation week and you're not on vacation, and the weather is terrible. So take it out on us, 985thesportshub.com. You can get our email addresses. But I do ask you to listen to the show. Someone from Needham Driving School who's a big fan reached out and said, I heard you take a shot at my company. I did not. All I said is, Bird said to get on the to get a job at the Garden to do security, you got to respond to a text very quickly. And I said, that's like Needham Driving School. I didn't take a shot at your company at all. In fact, I gave your company a shout out.
Free plug.
Yeah, I didn't say anything but the name of your company, and that's how it is. You guys put out tweets, and then you respond to it, and you can get the driving lesson. There's other ways to get driving lessons. It was a free association I did in my own head. I understand when it's your business that it hits you, and you're probably half paying attention than you hear business. But Jesus, if that's a shot, I don't know. Needham Driving School is the greatest. How about that?
We were talking about how you would feel if you were in a plane crash and whether or not you would find religion instead of immediately reaching for your phone. We have an email from Cam, said, one of my best friends went off a mountain in an ATV and survived, and he's still a stone-cold atheist.
It's not even about, I know I brought spirituality into it, but it's not even really about that. It's just about your instinct being not to be in the present, basically. That your instinct was, I have to document this and put it on the internet.
John, if you were in a plane crash, would it cause you to rediscover your religion?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Do you think you'd go back to Judaism, or do you continue to turn your back on that?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know that
someone put John in a very precarious situation, and let's see what happens.
I do. Well, it was
fun if John just turned into a Buddhist.
I was part of a bomb scare at one point, if you remember.
Oh, middle school. We had a drug dealer's sister that was at my middle school. We had bomb threats legitimately maybe every week. Oh, yeah. They stopped even caring.
You win.
They stopped even
only
caring.
Part of one. So.
Well, we had Jimmy Hoffa's grandson for a while, and then we had this drug dealer's sister, and they would just be bomb threats, and they honestly stopped paying attention to him. They half-assed everything. They would just. It went to like go into the
everyone
gym.
into your desk.
Yeah, it went to go to the gym to like just leave the classroom and stand in the hall, as if that would save us from the bomb going off. And I assure you, no one cared anymore. It was a weird thing. By the way, me telling Adam that the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler going to the crowd during the SNL 50th upset a couple people.
You got more than one email about that?
Yes. You want to hear this one, Adam?
Please.
The guy says, this is a guy who does this a lot, so I'm going to block him after this.
Yeah.
But he is not challenging that you try to tell people that SNL isn't funny. It's you telling people that SNL isn't funny because you guys are Trump people and you don't like that they make fun of him.
Wait, what? Me?
I knew that was going to piss him off.
So you know, what did I say in the middle? What I said literally these words. The guy they have doing Trump now is brilliant.
Yes.
Why didn't they go harder after Trump instead of playing Hallelujah when he got elected? Jesus.
Yeah, the whole point of that was that it's shooting fish in a barrel to do like an anti-Trump sketch, right?
So if you combine the Needham Driving School, which I sort of understand because you hear your business and then immediately like it triggers something in you. So I understand that. To where I literally said, why didn't you make fun of him more? And now you have a tool in your arsenal that's great at it. This is what the problem is.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you hate the show. I don't care as long as you're paying attention to it.
But they're not paying attention
it's
to it.
It's the listening and not paying attention and letting that get you pissed off.
Which ties into what you were talking about with the plane crash. It ties into that mindfulness of being in the moment and actually paying attention to what's going on and not hearing something, hearing a triggering word like Trump and immediately like taking it and running with it and having opinions.
It's like there are very few TV shows now that I watch where I actually watch.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about
it's just kind of on, and I'm on my phone. I'm not paying any attention to it at all. It's just kind of background noise.
That's the thing. You try and stream things. Like, for instance, people are all over me about Peaky Blinders. Hardy's a big fan of that. I got about 3 episodes in, but all of a sudden I realized I have to stay put now for about 47 minutes. And I even just streaming it on my phone, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I need a break in the middle.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, RJ, when we Fred and I talked, we were going to do the SNL 50 recap today, and I hadn't watched any of it. So I literally plugged my phone in the other room because I wanted to I'm going to sit and watch this and not be distracted.
Well, Adam's asking. I watched it specifically for the show, and Adam's asking me things about it, and I don't even remember them happening.
It was part of the problem I had with the show Narcos, which was a really good show, but it's mostly subtitles because they're speaking in Spanish, and you have to actually look at the screen for the entire thing to understand what's going on.
Cliffhanger episodic television is really hard for me to consume. I have to be really on a jag. It's hard for me to read anymore. I can only read 20 pages at a time, which is a little concerning. This is from Mark. Did anyone do Hardy's driveway? Thanks from Chopper. How are all of Hardy's friends, delivery people, supposed to get to his front door safely? I'll be shocked if he doesn't have a backup plan for snow removal when he's not there.
Ooh,
he does. We've discussed this, not on the air. Tom Morgan from the Midday Show is dog sitting, and Hardy has made, Tom will tell you, implicit instructions not to shovel the driveway before he drives. If there's even tire tracks on the snow, how that will look to the neighbors. And he said this unironically to me off the air.
I believe it.
He's like, Tom's dog. He goes, Tom better not let any tire tracks in my driveway. I said, how would he do that? He goes, oh, he's staying at my house. I go, he's dog sitting. He goes, yeah. That's how I know Tom is dog sitting from, because he was already complaining about the snow.
I wish I lived closer. I'd just drive up and down his driveway. That would be such a great prank to pull, because he would be legitimately angry.
And then it would ice over.
Yeah,
the best. This weekend would have been the best for him.
Is it the way the weather is? Those tracks aren't going anywhere.
Let's go to Mike. Hello.
You know what, Fred? You besmirched Needham Driving School. You brought down SNL today. But when Full House came out of your mouth and you said it sucked, that's where I draw the line, okay? An amazing, funny show where you learn a life lesson at the end. You sarcastically said Dave Coulier wasn't funny. Cut it out, my friend, okay? Full House, one of the greatest shows of the late 90s. You're wrong. It's not quite as good as the Cosby Show when you did the jazz episode. But
oh, boy. Yes.
Full House is one of the greatest shows of the 90s. You're wrong. I'm right.
Listen, I forgot about the episode where DJ was trying to lose weight and she started taking speed.
You're leaving out the great episode where Jesse and the Rippers went to Japan and had to perform.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, the Rippers would sometimes they'd sit in with the Beach Boys, which was a lot of fun.
That's right.
This is another guy that emails all the time, and I'm just gonna block him from now on. But I'll give him the service of reading this. He sent this to Rick Radzik as well.
Oh, good.
Who he deems to be the man who shall fire me. Hey, Fred, I heard your rant about difference of opinion. If you don't know what is causing all this conjecture, it's that Adam wanted to talk about SNL's 50th anniversary episode, so I watched it, and Adam thought something was funny that I didn't, and I go, oh no, you didn't think that was funny, and because he's a friend of mine, and I was surprised he thought it was funny. And the way I went about it, Adam, was well out of line. I talked to you like I cared about your opinion and dismissed it.
Shameful.
You know what that means, Fred? You're going to have a meeting with the boss.
Yeah. So I heard your rant about difference of opinion. As per usual, where you're completely missing the point. Discussing the differences of opinions on subjective matters is one thing, but the way you crap on the person themselves for liking something makes you a giant dick. Also entertaining. I sometimes wonder are you that stupid that you don't see the difference between debating and being an a-hole, or if you missed the point on purpose to avoid acknowledging what a crappy person you are? It's the former. I'm too stupid. I would like to throw my usual sentiment as well, Rick. So this is a guy who repeatedly does this. I heard the other day that Fred has 3 more years on his contract. Are you guys effing kidding me? By the way, there could be more. I made the decision for 3. Are you effing kidding me? What a terrible deal. Do you ever listen to the show? I feel like you don't, because there's no way you'd let that hack continue to ruin everyone's mornings. He's consistently fixated and obsessed with things that generally no one cares about.
He's consistently fixated and obsessed with things. Rings a bell.
Getting hung up on random music anecdotes and going to all length to avoid talking about sports in any way. Well, guilty.
Well, if he's concerned about having 3 years left on his deal, imagine how he feels about the Devers deal right now.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Thank you for bringing it back to sports. Sometimes he even has guests on just to bark pointless, disjointed questions at them and make them sit in on his terrible bits and waste their time. Literally anyone else would be better than Fred. I'm a huge fan of the station, but it's extremely frustrating how unlistenable the morning show is. Please do something. That is from Alex from Walpole.
I like you, man, but you're causing me a lot of trouble.
Oh, boy, Fred. My email box went bananas. What kind of psychopath sends that to the program director? What's he going to do about that?
Again,
Alex doesn't like Fred. We got to move on.
I'm hung up on how guys like that, it's always about accusing other people of exactly what they're doing. Like that, he wrote it in the email.
And the funny thing is, you listen enough to know that when the guy from I Hate Steven Singer was in studio, he revealed that I have 3 years left of my deal. You had to listen to such a random part. You had to be so focused on the show. I know what he's talking about. That when we had a client in saying that he wanted to advertise for the length of the show, he gave that I had 3 years left on my deal.
Yeah.
You heard that, remembered it, and then now we're throwing it back on me.
We got some breaking news on Mac.
This is Breaking Sports News. Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. On 98.5, The Sports
How dare
Hub.
you interrupt me talking about myself?
Lord.
Go ahead. What's going on, Ryan?
Frank Saravelli just tweeted, sources say Team USA defenseman Charlie McAvoy was admitted to the hospital Monday night with an infection that stemmed from a minor injury. He is fine and there is no long-term concern.
Ooh.
Status for Thursday's final is undetermined, but he has not been ruled out.
All right, well, that's good
Best news
Yes.
possible.
And for the people that told me it was a shoulder, I'm only going to listen to you again. Because what do I have to lose? I'm not a reporter.
Thank God. That is fantastic news.
Well, good for Charlie McAvoy. Well, it's not great if he has a staph infection.
Well,
That's
no,
fun.
but
maybe it's
considering-
gout, like when they told me I had a staph
Considering
infection.
what we thought it might be, and all of us armchair doctors were hypothesizing in the first hour, the fact that he will be able to return to the Bruins this weekend, or if not this weekend, then soon afterwards, is very good news.
Yeah.
We were talking about Lindholm coming and McAvoy going.
And we were also talking about this shifting any chance they had of, not selling at the deadline.
Right.
So if McAvoy, and plus if you have tickets to the game, McAvoy being on the ice makes it a lot more entertaining. But so much for random sources telling me that it was his shoulder.
Yep.
Well, it could have been a minor shoulder injury that somehow spawned an infection.
That's true. That could be the shoulder injury that touched it off.
Well, I'd imagine it's his shoulder, but if it's just an infection of the wound and he's just getting antibiotics, that's not I don't know, maybe it's half right. Who knows? But never listen to me. I'm no reporter. I can just throw anything I want out there. But I told you I didn't know. So you can't blame me. I said I don't know.
You did say that.
I
This
said
is
that
what
on
I
several
hear, but
occasions.
I don't know. That's what you said.
That is what people told me, but I don't even know. I don't even know the validity of it. All right, we will be back with the wonderful Stack segment, and then we will say goodbye to you to enjoy this glorious day.
probably have missed from the show. The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, it's 98.5 The Sports Hub. We are Toucher and Hardy. Ryan Johnston is in for Hardy. Matt Bowen from ESPN, if you're an insider, has the best fit for all the NFL free agents. He has T. Higgins, best fit being the Washington Commanders, but it might not matter because it looks like they're going to franchise T. Higgins.
Now, technically, it's a non-exclusive tag, so they could theoretically allow him to go out and try and find somebody else, but everything you read tells me they're going to try and keep him.
Or he could say, screw you, I don't want to sign the tag and force a trade.
He could, but we'll see. I mean, still to be determined.
Right, but the news is that you would have to trade for him, and so you just wouldn't pick him up in free agency. They have DJ Reed, the cornerback for the Jets, being a good fit for the Patriots. If you put him next to Christian, he was better than Sauce Gardner last year. If you put him next to Christian Gonzalez, you don't have to worry about the corner position for a few years. Milton Williams, the defensive tackle. I have no idea who he is, but he was.
Who's he play for? I don't know.
On the Eagles.
Okay.
He's 6'3", 290 pounds.
Milton Williams, Ryan, ring a bell?
I mean, I've heard of
But it's interesting. It's, the two guys that they have out of the top 10 that going to the Patriots are both defensive players.
Yeah.
They could make another defensive upgrade with Williams, and then they have way later into the list of free agents, they have a couple of offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Nothing that would blow you away if you're a Patriots fan. But the game changes with no T. Higgins because then that means there's no surefire number one receivers or number two receivers for that matter.
Depends on how you feel about Godwin, but yes.
But Godwin has no chance of being your outside number one receiver.
No, he's not a burner. He's more of it, does more of his work inside, yes.
But if you want to get excited, Erlich Jackson, the offensive tackle from the Rams, who's a great fit apparently for the New England Patriots.
Thank God. I was worried about
I don't want to speak out of school, but there you go. All right, what's going on, Jonathan?
We got a couple things. First, congratulations to Wade Boggs, who is now 66 years old. That's not why we're congratulating him. 5 months after being diagnosed with prostate cancer, he posted a video of him ringing the bell. He is cancer-free. The fact, Adam, that he's 66 is frightening. That he's already 66 years old.
That doesn't feel right, but I guess that's the passing of time.
So
he's a man who drinks so many beers on a flight out to Los Angeles, and he was wearing a Red Sox shirt while he rang the bell and celebrated.
Yes,
that's right.
So even though he is inducted as a Tampa Bay Ray into the Hall of Fame, which he is.
Is he really?
Yes.
I don't remember. Is that right?
I believe that is correct.
I think you're right. I think there's a Rays cap on it. He was the first one.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I think he wanted that.
Yeah, he had his 3,000th hit, which I think was a home run with Tampa. So maybe that's
how we'll always remember him as a Tampa Bay Ray.
That's right.
That's wild. It's wild that I never koo that. That's disgusting. Actually, that's really disappointing.
Well, good. I'm glad I could ruin something for you. That makes me feel good.
That.
Thank you. Oh, well, now I got a smile on my face. Stupid Adam's upset about something, like his dumb takes on Saturday Night Live that get me all in trouble. Go ahead.
We have baseball news out of Florida today that does not involve the Red Sox. Toronto first baseman Vlad Guerrero told the media this morning he was unable to come to terms on a contract extension prior to his deadline of last night to get things going. So, as a result, he's going to play out the final year of his contract and become a free agent next winter. Why is this important? Because a number of reports over the last year have said that he has told friends he prefers to play in Boston when his contract is up. He likes Devers. He likes coming. He likes playing here. He wants to play in Boston. And now it looks like he's a lock to be a free agent next winter.
Boy, Tampa Bay can't do anything. They thought they were going to get not Tampa Bay. Toronto can't do anything. They thought they were going to get Ohtani last offseason, and it screwed everything up when he turned on him and went to Los Angeles. They want to spend a ton of money. They're trying to get all this foreign money. That company that owns them, the communications company, I can't remember who owns them, but they're trying to get all this like international money. So they're trying to get people to play in Toronto. They want to be a big player. They just can't get anyone to go there.
Apparently, Guerrero had a deadline of 9 o'clock last night to get a deal done. The last call from the Blue Jays came at 10:30. an hour and a half past the deadline and was nowhere close to what he wanted.
Well, it's such crap, though. If the Blue Jays called him at 4 o'clock this afternoon and said, we'll give you exactly what you want, he's not going to sign the deal. He's going to go, no, I'm going to wait 8 months.
No, but the fact that they, called late and then called with a number that was much lower than what they knew he wanted is the story here.
All right, how much are you willing to give Guerrero? By the way, according to CBS or WadeBoggsBaseball.com,
yes,
Wade Boggs is wearing a Red Sox cap in his Hall of Fame plaque. The Rays rumors were fake.
Okay. Oh, thank goodness.
Which I hesitant to say because that would make Adam feel better.
Too late. I already feel good.
Yeah, he's wearing a Red Sox hat.
Oh.
There were rumors, though. They fooled Ryan and I. Ugh.
So Vlad,
Boo.
Yeah, Vlad is at this moment, well, he's about to turn 26.
Well, you're going to have to give him, outrageous, Soto-esque kind of money. So
yeah,
that's what you're going to have to do.
8 years, 45, started $50 million a year.
Yeah.
For that bat.
Yes. So maybe you do trade Devers, and you free up a little bit of money so you can give it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is one of the best power hitters in the world in the prime of his career.
Yes. And only 3 teams will have a shot at him.
Yeah.
So baseball needs to do something drastic as soon as possible.
Another guy who also walks a lot. A batting average of 323 and on base of about 400, hit 30 home runs last year.
Yeah, so the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Phillies will throw in some, they'll be in the mix, but then they'll back out. So it'll just be those 2 teams going after him. What fun. It's funny because you go generational hitter going in his prime. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a free agent, and it's no fun because it's who cares? He's going to go to the Dodgers or the Yankees.
You start at 10 years, $500 million.
Yeah, and the Dodgers or the Yankees are the 2 teams that will give it to him.
Yeah.
And then no one else can.
Now, he wants to play here, but this ownership, even if they trade Devers, I don't think they're going to pony up $500 million for that guy.
If you want to, listen, the AL is down right now. If you get Guerrero, all of a sudden, now you're talking about a very real chance of going to the World Series. He's that impactful a player.
Agreed.
So if you want to go to the World Series, you can throw your hat into the ring. But then it would be Boston, New York, and Los Angeles. And maybe the Mets, because Cohen, loves to spend money.
Yeah,
so you'd have the 2 New York teams in Los Angeles, and maybe the Red Sox could get in there, too. Nice. That's a dangerous game, though. And I would even hard to find fault for the Red Sox for not getting him, because if Cohen just goes, I'll give him whatever he wants.
Which is what he did with Soto, basically.
Yeah, and so you're just like, all right, well, I mean, how are you supposed to compete with that?
You can't.
It's a broken system.
No, you can't. Even the Yankees had to back away from the table.
Well, the only reason it makes me think they're getting a salary cap in Major League Baseball is the Yankees are pissed. If the Yankees weren't pissed, I wouldn't have a problem. I would think they'll just let it be.
That also factors into it because the CBA expires in 2026. So I mean, there are other factors at play, but you have to figure he's going to get a monster deal.
Because every pitch clock thing that works, everything you do to spice up the game, it's all conversation if there's no competitiveness. If it's all just 2 markets that get all the players, then who cares? Who cares? You could be a fan of a team that is saying, I'm going into this season not trying. Going out and saying, we're not trying. Cardinals, we're not trying. Yep. We're not trying. We're not trying. We're playing every kid, and we're going to see what hits. By the way, come to the ballpark because we depend on the gate.
There are only a few fan bases you can do that to. St. Louis, by the way, is one of them.
Well, they didn't get 3 million fans last year.
Really?
And that's the if they did, they just cleared it because you should have seen these games empty. You can't get people to go to 81 paid fares if you aren't trying.
But the St. Louis fans are among the most forgiving in all of Major League
it's
Baseball.
so annoying. You think this media is negative? Try all positive media. It's so effing annoying.
Yeah.
The best writer or the most read writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, I don't know if he's ever said anything critical about the team.
Oh, boy.
They're saying, Chaim Bloom's saying, we're not trying. And the guy's like, that's great. We'll get to see a bunch of kids play. Great.
We'll still charge you major league prices, though.
Oh, so dumb. Or your time. Like take 5 days of your life to watch this product every year. No. All right, that'll do it for us. I'm done.